You getting yourself ready for our show?
Merry Christmas, baby. It is Christmas 2022, or at least yesterday was Christmas. I got Sean the Fisherman with us, guys. Let's just go through the laundry list of things we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about electric blankets. We're going to talk about folding chairs. We're going to talk about bagels. We're going to talk about pierogies. We're going to talk about, let's see, what else do we have? Oh, we're going to talk about pre-rolled joints and edibles. We're going to talk about, you name it. Everything is on the table. We got Ken Wood from MAKB and Elite Kayak Fishing as our guest this week, and he drops a bombshell on this week's show. This is some good stuff. You're not going to want to miss out, guys. It's Jigs and Bigs. I'm Bobby Roast Beef, and I got Sean the Fisherman. You guys go ahead and get yourself something delicious. Maybe some of that mulled wine you were sipping earlier, or perhaps you're throwing back some fancy spiked coffee with that imported from Cork Irish cream. That would probably be my wife, but maybe that's your situation. I don't know. We'll see you guys in a bit. Don't go too far. More Jigs and Bigs coming up right after this. You know, Sean, since I've moved my light from over to just to my right, over here to right in front of me, the way it should be, I'm realizing I'm losing that summertime glow.
Oh,
and it's sad.
Ice fishing's right around the corner. You'll get at least some of that glow back.
I will. I'll get a good burn, yeah, when we start ice fishing. By the way, I've had a number of people ask me about ice fishing, and yes, there is an ice fishing gathering in the works for Jigs and Bigs friends to gather and throw down. But what we need is some more really good cold weather, so we have some good, safe ice to go and do this with. And in fact, as a little, if there's a side quest to this little outing, the side quest is this. I've got a friend of mine, Kyle, who has been wanting to do a Hot Ones style collaboration, and we both figure that doing frying up some chicken wings on the ice and straight up burning our mouths and asses with top-notch hot sauces is the way to go. So even if we don't catch anything, we're going to be catching some content. That's the idea.
Fair enough.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
We're in the middle of a what do they call it? The what's the term? The cyclone, the bomb cyclone going on right now.
It's true.
So we are on the cold end of that. But do you see what's going to happen next week?
No, I haven't. I haven't looked out that far yet.
Temperatures in the 40s, 50s, possibly 60s.
Son of a bitch.
Because there's some Pacific wind pushing through and it's fucking everything up. So I don't know. Are we going to? My best bet is we'll probably have ice late January, early February, as we always do. And then it'll linger too long, and we'll be pissed off. That's just what happens every year. But it's all good. It's all good. How was your Christmas, man?
Dude, Christmas was pretty fantastic. A lot of running around. So let's go through. Let's back it up a little bit from last week. Now, last week, if you guys listen to the show, you know that your boy here was suffering from some significant tooth pain. And Sean, I don't know if you can see this, but there's nothing missing. There's nothing missing there yet. Because it comes out on Tuesday. I did finally get in to see my dentist, and a couple of things happened. First off, I was informed that my teeth are impeccable, except for that one. I had a little fracture in that tooth, cracked that son of a bitch, and I think I actually know when it happened, looking back, and I've had this little tiny fracture for almost 2 weeks now. And it was just getting worse and worse and worse. And so I had gone to the dentist midweek this week, and they had done a bunch of x-rays, were able to spot the fracture, did in fact confirm that my teeth are otherwise in great shape. There's a couple of just pretty much maintenance type things that I need to do to kind of get some of the tissues built back up so I can avoid any future breakage or anything like that. But this one guy does have to go. But the important lesson is this. I did learn the importance of taking your over-the-counter pain medications like Advil and Tylenol, which you can take together. I had been fighting this by taking a handful of both Advil and Tylenol at the same time, which apparently is only great to start off with, but you want to follow the instructions and don't let them completely die off. And then alternate back and forth. So if you have 4 to 6 hours on your Tylenol and then 6 hours on your ibuprofen, you want to alternate back and forth, and what a difference it's made. She also did prescribe some antibiotics too, which after about 12 hours of taking those, totally changed the pain game completely. It was a big deal. It was good. So I'm feeling better, not 100%, but we're definitely getting there. I was able to host 5 trivia nights last week.
During your dental visit, was the term shit tooth bandied about at all?
I asked, I was like, do you think this is a shit tooth? And she was like, come again? And I was like, do you think am I going to end up like with a shit tooth? Have you ever seen It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia? I'm talking about like, am I going to end up with like a Maureen Ponderosa tooth happening right over here? Is that what's going to end up happening? Because I don't want that to happen.
I don't want one tooth to look like a piece of dog kibble. I don't want it.
She did upsell me on a on a bone graft, which is basically going to allow there to be something to put an implant there if I want to in the future. Because I'm not really concerned about an implant right now, but possibly, I would much rather the option versus like, having all this exposed gum and bone there, plus from what I understand, I think this bone graft is actually going to keep my teeth from like spreading apart, or like moving too much. So they'll stay where they're at. So this would be a good thing, but good. I'm like, hey, it could have been much, much worse. So glad that is handled. Tuesday morning, bright and early, Tuesday, 8 a.m. I am going to be at the dentist getting this sucker just ripped right out, and I couldn't be happier. I'm very, very excited for that. So that's going to get done. Actually, she wanted to take it out that day. This was last Wednesday, and I asked her, I said, what's the over-under on me being able to host trivia tonight? I said, because we're here, and it's 4:30 in the afternoon. If you pull this tooth, I go, in 2 hours' time, I need to be at Nathan Bill's hosting speed quizzing. And I was like, do you think it'll happen? She's like, probably not effectively. And she's like, I understand where you're coming from. It's kind of a dick move if you cancel this close to it. So let's get you scheduled for a morning, and this is what we've got. So I can't wait to put this chapter of my life behind me.
Good. Also on the injury front, I don't know if I mentioned this to you, but I was having some problems with my elbow, and I thought I was getting some tennis elbow from kind of stepping back on the basketball court a little more than I have in the past probably 10 years. And it turns out it might be a little more than that. So I'll be calling for a request for an x-ray on my right elbow. It looks like I may have chipped a bone there, and it's swollen. So it looks like when I put my arms straight, my left arm looks normal. My right arm looks like it has a golf ball worth of fluid on my elbow.
Bad, really? Wow.
Yeah, it's nasty. Okay. So again, I'm lucky I have some health professionals in the family. So at Christmas, I was like, hey, Merry Christmas. How you been? What do you think of this?
Take a look at this. What's going on?
Yeah, and I was initially diagnosed by one cousin as bursitis, and then he said, is there something moving around in there? I said, yeah, it kind of feels it, and he moved it around too. He's like, yeah, go get an x-ray. So I might have fractured part of my arm here.
That sucks.
Yeah, that's where we're at. We're old. You got a shit tooth, and I've got golf ball, and I got a testicle growing on my elbow.
There you go. Hey, but you know what? You could have, if it was before December 17th, you could have saved yourself 20% and got free shipping at manscaped.com for your elbow nut.
I could have.
You could have, but you didn't. It's okay. Yeah, I'm still interested to see how we did with the Manscaped promotion. If anybody's listening right now, it doesn't do you any good to use it because the code is only good November 17th to December 17th. So hopefully you got advantage of your grooming needs. But I'm interested to see what the return was like as far as our listeners, being interested in, maintaining their, weed whacking their taints or whatever it is that they're doing. That's
their business. I don't want to know about it.
It's true. Yeah. All of a sudden, there's suddenly all these comments like, I ordered mine. I just shaved my nuts. I don't want to know that.
Check this picture out.
Yeah. Cody?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So for Christmas, I'm guessing there was some food eaten.
There was a lot of food eaten. You want me to start?
I don't care. Yeah.
I'll start.
Let's go
Okay.
with you.
So Christmas. So my wife has this plan, and this is one thing that we're looking forward to. Christmas Eve. Or not Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, first thing in the morning. My wife loves to plan a breakfast first thing that day. And she likes to kind of mix it up a little bit. And this year she was like, you know what? I just want to get a bag of really, really, really good bagels, some cream cheese, and then we'll just brew a pot of coffee. And my wife, when I mentioned that in the intro about the Irish cream that's imported from Cork, I forget the brand of it, but it is the best Irish cream I've ever had. Now, granted, I'm on antibiotics. I haven't had a drop of alcohol since Wednesday. And that's when I tell people all the time I'm not a big drinker, it was not a difficult thing to just not drink through Christmas. It really wasn't, I just don't want to fuck up the antibiotics. That's my thing. I'm not looking to take any chances. So, she was nursing this bottle of Irish cream on her own. But it is a great additive to really, really good monsoon coffee, which we got in advance. But the bagels we got were from Comfort Bagel. Comfort Bagel has some awesome varieties. And they had one that my wife is right up my wife's alley. It's a Thanksgiving stuffing brownie. Thanksgiving stuffing bagel is what it is. And she ordered plain cream cheese, honey butter, and for the sweet bagels. And what was the other one? Oh, scallion cream cheese. This was like everything this woman needed. It was like Santa Claus. Santa Claus popped down the chimney and hooked her up with that alone. She was delighted. So that was Christmas Day breakfast. But Christmas Eve, we had gotten together over at my cousin, Tammy and Larry's. And normally, they've been doing Christmas Eve for years, pre-COVID. And then once the pandemic happened, they hadn't done it for a while. And we were kind of like, is this going to be the end of it? Is that how it's going to be? We're just going to do Christmas Eve and Christmas Day with my folks, and which is awesome. We definitely had a great time with it. But it was really nice to get together with everybody on Christmas Eve. And it used to be where we would travel up to visit my wife's family on Christmas Eve. Now what we end up doing is after all the big festivities and stuff, we go up, and that was what the plan was today, was to go out there. And actually my girls had just gotten back because they had gone up today, and there was change up at the last minute. So I had this year, the big difference for Christmas Eve was that the decision was made to do dinner as a catered dinner. So the food was all over the place. There was actually two different caterers handling different elements of this together that they had put together. It was absolutely out of this world. The food was absolutely amazing. The desserts were all from everybody who had come in, and they were out of this world. In fact, my cousin Jody made these little peanut butter balls, and did she make the Christmas crack? She might have made the Christmas crack, too. You ever had Christmas crack, Sean?
My wife made it.
Yeah, with the saltines and the toffee. And
she used pretzels, thin pretzels, and it was
even better.
Fucking phenomenal. Yeah, it was insane.
Even better. Oh, like those thin pretzel chips, like those? Oh, my God.
Yeah, it was good. So hers had a chocolate side and a caramel side,
yep.
And it was mind-blowingly good.
Yeah, I love Christmas crack. I mean, I love crack. Let's be honest.
Hoover a little schneef, some crack,
a little bit of schneef, a little bit of crack. The only kind of crack I'm trying to avoid is a crack in my hull. That's it.
Yes,
that's the crack you want to avoid. Any other kind of crack is great. But so dinner was absolutely awesome. It was so great. There's just a hangout. We had such a good time. First time this had happened where both my girls had driven up to Christmas Eve, the get together on their own, and my wife and I just kind of got to take it easy. Didn't have to, drag anybody anywhere or worry about getting places. And it was basically whoever of us was going to leave was going to get to take care of the dogs when they got home. So it worked out so well. It was so nice. We got home that night. My wife and I decided that, because our kids are a little bit older, and it used to be a big, tedious task to put all of the gifts under the tree and get everything prepped. And lots of times, when the kids were real young, your boy had to build, doll houses and bikes and things like that day of. So, like, there was a lot of swearing that was happening. You know what I mean? Trying to get this stuff together. That's not the case anymore. So we got everything all situated. I said to my wife, I go, I got an idea. You and I will start a new Christmas tradition together. Queen and Bobby roast beef. We're gonna make our cocktails. We're gonna have the libations we choose to have, which were a good mix. In fact, we had taken a nice deep dive into some holiday season edibles from INSA. One of my favorite dispensaries in the area. They have a flavor of the little gumdrops that are cranberry sauce. Delicious.
Ooh,
delicious.
That sounds good.
So we doubled up on some of those, and I think she made a spiked coffee. Then she wanted to get into that Irish cream nice and early, so she made a spiked coffee, and we sat down and snuggled up on the couch with both of the dogs, and we watched Violent Night.
I have not yet seen it. I need to.
Cannot recommend it.
What
I mean, cannot recommend it enough. I'm sorry. That came out wrong. Cannot recommend it enough.
Is it on Netflix? What was it on?
So it's on Amazon. It's not a cheap rental. It's not a cheap rental. It's like $19.
It's still showing in theaters, I think, right?
I don't know that it ever got a theater rental, but if if it did get a theater release, then that's why it's on Amazon for that price, because it's in theaters.
It did. We saw it. We saw the posters for it when we went and saw Wakanda Forever.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
if it did get a theater release, that explains why it's priced where it is. We got it and we watched it, and it was so good. John Leguizamo plays such an a-hole. Like, it is awesome. It is so good. The family, the rich family where everything kind of happens, they're from Greenwich, Connecticut, and it plays perfectly into everything. It's so freaking good. David Harbour is the best Santa Claus. Like,
perfect.
And you don't think, like, Santa Claus as an absolute badass, out of this world. Like, even the way he's introduced in the movie is great. The engagement at the beginning, like, he's at a bar. There's another, like, a mall Santa there, and they're having a conversation, and this guy just assumes he's like another mall Santa. And the bartender, you trust me, it's so good. It is so good.
All right,
not for kids.
Well, I'll check it out.
Yeah, not for kids. You'll enjoy it. I definitely recommend a couple of pulls from Grampy's Sleepy Tonic, and then just enjoy and get ready to laugh your ass off. It was so good. So we had a great time with that. We went upstairs, went to bed, and then we got up. I think I got up around 6:30. To use the can. Went back to bed. Like, it's so nice. The kids slept in. I mean, it says something when my oldest is opening a gift and then going back to her bagel, her apple cheddar bagel with honey butter, and like taking a bite of her breakfast. It was just such a nice, relaxed day. It was so nice. So let's go through. So we're talking food. We move forward a little bit further, right? So the bagels were awesome. Now we're at Christmas Day. We go over to my sister's place, or what I'm calling now. We're calling now Papa Roast Beef's compound, because that's basically what's going on over there. This man, my father, has these giant sheet pans laid out with ribeye steaks this thick. Huge.
Oh my God.
Laid out, seasoned, ready to hit. Like, I can only describe it as like an orchestra of cast iron pans and skillets laid out, and he's like doing them to order. We had baked potatoes, we had mashed potatoes, we did Brussels sprouts with bacon, caramelized onions so you could top your steak nicely. We did a really good Caesar salad was a big hit. It was a really big hit. I went the extra mile with that, and I got some real, like, authentic Parmigiano Reggiano. Got out the potato peeler and just started putting wedges of cheese right on top. Like, this was a cheese lover salad. I think that's part of the reason why it was a big deal. So, I mean, it was just out of this world. Dessert, my mom made a coconut cream pie, which is hilarious because she doesn't like pie traditionally. But it was out of this world. Coconut cream pie. As a pretty much every get together we have, like, dessert is generally like brownie sundae, like brownie ice cream, all the toppings and stuff. The kids love that. It was just absolutely out of this world. I want to give a shout out to my godson, my nephew Sebastian. So this year for Christmas, he got me a pair of sweats, right? These sweatpants that are from Adidas. Now, when I buy sweats, I go and I look and I'm like, how good could they possibly be? I'm just going to buy whatever the Amazon basics, whatever is in my size. That's what I'm going to buy. I might never take these off, Sean.
They're that good.
They're so comfortable. And like, they've even got like a zipper around like they're not, you know how like there's that elastic around most sweats at the bottom where the foot is. These are like pants. They just hang, but there's a zipper around the side. So like if I had to wear something with like, you know, some bulk on it, or I wanted to get some air or, you know, around my foot, I could easily unzip that to give myself more room. It's crazy. Like, they're the softest freaking things in the world. Absolutely love them. So I sent my sister a text today with a video. I was like, I grossly underestimated my nephew's taste in quality sweatpants. He understands. He gets it on all levels. Smart kid.
Awesome.
And yeah, it was really, really great. So we ate like kings, came home, and then so for dessert, I brought over from INSA this nice little 100 milligram candy bar. It was a gingerbread bar with hazelnuts, chopped hazelnuts on the bottom, like really festive, you know, but squares in each across diagonally that you can break there and making it 5 milligrams a piece. So I broke off 40 milligrams worth and brought it over to the table thinking that the folks that were at the table might want to share. I knew I was going to eat 10 milligrams. I usually always do, right? My wife is 10 milligrams would be a lot for her. And so I put this over and I put it on a plate right next to where like my dessert items were. And I put it right there. And of course, like people are like, oh, what's that? And I think, you know, was it my sister? It might've been my sister. She said, well, how much is that? I was like, it's 40 milligrams. And she goes, you're going to die. I was like, no, it's not for me. This is for everybody. I brought this over if you'd like some. And everybody's like, I'm going to fall asleep. No. I was like, all right, fine. So I had one. I looked down and I assumed that Holly was going to have a square. I was going to have a square and I'd probably pack up the other two if nobody else wanted any, or I'd leave them out if somebody wanted them, you know, and nobody else wanted it. And I looked down, there's only one square left. Holly doubled down. She went 20 milligrams. I was like, oh, wow, okay, so it was going to be an early night for you. Okay. All
Party
right.
time.
Party time. I go, just need those sleigh bells jingle and ring. So I go and I tell her, we should probably get going. Let's go get things moving. And it happened to work out great because my Aunt Mary was there and my mother had to go and drop her off. So she had to get out of the garage. I was like, instead of just move the car, let's just pack it up. We'll hit the road. We'll go. So we get home and, you know, I'm feeling great. Once we get home, I'm sitting on the couch. I'm like, I feel great. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to go put something comfortable on, some cozy clothes. And that's when the first donned these sweats. And I was like, whoa. This is great. So I go back downstairs and I fire up Amazon and I'm like, oh, Reservoir Dogs sounds good. I throw Reservoir Dogs in. I get the first 2 scenes in. This is exactly what I wanted. I know this movie inside and out. And I just start to doze off and I'm snoring, drooling, and just the whole 9 yards. I wake up and Holly's like, you okay? I'm like, yeah, why? What's up? She goes, you ready to go upstairs? And I said, yeah, I'm exhausted. She says, okay, let's go. So I go walking upstairs. I was like, how are you doing? And she's like, I can't feel a thing.
I can taste color.
I'm like, are you serious? She's like, yeah, nothing at all. I'm like,
really?
Yeah.
It was the opposite.
It was the exact opposite. She's like, I cannot feel a thing. Nothing. I was like, you got to be kidding me. What the hell is wrong with you? So it's kind of crazy. At first, like we had picked up a bar that was like a hash bar. And I think and at first I was like, well, maybe like she's just not, you know, her body doesn't work with this necessarily, but this is different. She should be all right with it, but it was kind of interesting. I slept like a freaking baby and I think she got up at like 6 and I was just not having it. She left me up there with the dog. I was just Eleanor and I were sleeping like it was a freaking team sport. That's how we were just out. It was great. And then one of my daughters comes into my room and is like, so I'm here to collect the dog. She scoops up the dog to bring her outside. I decide I should get up and go downstairs. I go back downstairs, and everybody's up, and I'm like, oh, what's going on? So the initial plan, my wife had woken up, and she wasn't feeling so hot, and she's like, I don't want to bring that over to my grandmother's house. She goes, I'm going to send the girls up with all the Christmas gifts and everything, and they can go and do that run later this week when I'm sure that I'm feeling better. We'll go, and we'll do all that. So that's what we ended up doing for today. So just wild. And then I just recorded an amazing interview with a guy out in California, Roger Young, who is an overlanding content creator. And for anybody out there who's like, God, these trips that Bobby's going on, truck camping and stuff sounds so cool. I want to do it. You got to watch this guy's stuff. Next, we're going to have him on next week. And I'm going to tag specifically a video that I think you guys should 100% watch, because if you're a first timer and you're looking at trying to do this, but you're a little overwhelmed thinking it's a gear thing, it's not. Like, you can learn a lot from this guy, and he's got the gear to back it up and tell you that it's not necessary. It's really, really, really a good thing. Roger's a good guy, and we have plans. When he comes out here, we're gonna take him. We're gonna get him on a kayak and go out and do some significant fishing. Maybe we'll make it like a video project too, and we'll go up to Buckley Dunton and truck camp and be armed. Maybe.
Well, I don't know if anybody can truck camp.
I don't think you can. Yeah, I think it's privately owned. Yeah,
that's pretty. Oh no, it's not privately owned. It's there's hours. Some state areas have hours, and it's like dawn till dusk, and I think you have to be out of there.
Gotcha.
Except for the Satanists and the Sasquatch.
That's what I'm saying. Or, the goose wing removers.
Yep.
Who knows?
Bunch of animals.
We got a bunch of stuff going on there. So walk me through your food. Oh, I forgot one element.
What?
Christmas Eve.
Uh-oh.
I had an interesting breakfast.
What'd you have?
I had these delicious venison pierogies. And I think this is the perfect transition point to go over. In fact, if you've been looking at the Jigs and Bigs Instagram, I posted on the story a little shot of my cast iron skillet just making these golden little dumplings of goodness. And I'm gonna pass this over to Sean, and he can go through the whole buildup.
Yeah. So we recorded after I was done, the marathon pinching session on last Sunday. And I got you a bag of them on the night. And we're going to start with this. Christmas Eve was a trivia night.
Yes.
Over at Casa de Lisa. And I met up. I went over there. You knew I was going. And I didn't have anybody to go with. But when I got there, right when I sat down, the man of the greatest nipples in Massachusetts,
it's true.
Tim Jakes, walks in with his wife. I sat with them. We kind of looked around and sized up the competition, and we said, well, the normal teams aren't here. We're probably going to do pretty well. And there was a table full of
my God,
aging folks. We're going to call them aging. My parents' age, sitting behind us. And they were highly intoxicated. Highly intoxicated.
We should set the stage. They came from the other side, the main restaurant side, and had finished their meals and bar tab.
Yeah, they were drunk.
Yeah.
And not only were they drunk, but they were boisterous. They were loud. They were yelling. They weren't listening to instructions. At one point in the night, you had came up with the absolute line of the night. I picked up on it, and I started laughing, and Tim missed it. And he said, what did Bobby just say? And I said, because of the gentleman screaming every answer and swear in the book behind us, you said, and that was Tim's team for 15, Sean's team for 14. Sir, the answer was not, what the hell? You just did it so smooth. I don't even think the old guy picked up on it, but I did, and I was dying. At that point, I had decided to tell you and Tim and his wife a tale about one of my uncles that had passed quite a few years ago, and his antics at Christmas with vodka. Whereas we had a trivia one night in the house, Christmas trivia, guys versus girls, and man, Uncle Harold didn't hold back. Every answer he yelled out of turn, did not confer with any of us, was either shithead or touch hole. All right,
touch hole.
Then he would say disparaging things about family members getting him a drink, and it went really. And as I told you guys that story, 2 questions later, You asked who starred in some Christmas movie, and the guy behind us yelled, "Dickhead." And I said, he's channeling Uncle Harry.
He is.
But no, it was a blast. It was quiet enough. It was really good. I had a really good time hanging out with Tim and Tina. It was a blast. Christmas Eve, I think I said we had finally gotten back together since the pandemic. One of my aunts has not really done a good sized gathering at her house. We got invited to that. We had a blast. Played some cards. Had a gift exchange. Good stuff. And then Christmas Day we have at our house, so we all kind of slept in. I should make mention too, Christmas Eve. So my son has a job and he worked on Christmas Eve. My oldest son worked on Christmas Eve. He put in a 9-hour shift.
Oh yeah.
So he made bank. He was the only busboy on, and they cut him in big. So he did really, really well on Christmas Eve.
That's awesome.
But he was exhausted the next day. We woke up, did our presents. My immediate family shows up a little earlier. Now, my sister and her husband have just recently adopted, so they now are dealing with sleep cycles.
Oh, for sure.
Of a young child.
Yep.
And we ended up not seeing them until about 2:00, whereas my brother, my parents came over around noonish, hung out. So we did our presents then, and then it was very slapstick. Usually we have like kind of designated presents times, like get the food done, presents, whatever. But it just seemed like at any point from noon till 9:00 at night, somebody or their kids was opening presents.
Yeah.
So no, it was good. We had our spread was obviously the two types of pierogies, the cheese ones and the venison ones.
Yep.
We had my wife made roasted potatoes. We have now completely converted. We spatchcock turkeys now.
Dude,
we don't fuck around.
It's so much more effective.
It's so easy.
Yeah.
It cooks evenly. There's no fucking around.
It's juicy every time.
Exactly. We had to do it at Thanksgiving because the turkey didn't defrost properly.
Yep.
So we had to make do. This one, we were like, no, fuck it. We're doing that forever now. There's no joke.
Yep. And then you get to go run around the house and go like spatchcock.
Yep. Butterfly and spatchcock. And we did that. So we had turkey. We had a ham. We had a spiral ham. The pierogies. I made homemade macaroni and cheese.
Got to.
Yep. And my wife made a winter berry salad. Oh my God.
A winter berry salad. Ooh.
Yes, dude. It was phenomenal.
Okay.
Phenomenal. We have some still. Let me think of what it was. It was feta, like dark green. So like there was kale and like some kinds of lettuce, but it was a darker lettuce.
Yep.
And I can't remember. What the fuck was it? It was she put blueberries in there? I already can't remember. It was blueberries, or she might have put cranberries in there.
Oh God.
Yeah, I was eating all the carbs, so I didn't.
Yeah,
I didn't go after the stuff. We have some downstairs. I'll probably hit it tonight, so I can digest this shit.
There you go. Move things along.
I know I said it was fantastic. I should have said the reviews were fantastic. She also made a cranberry cake.
Oh, I love cranberry.
And there was enough of it left over this morning because I had basketball practice this morning. I fucking snarfed that whole thing. Gone. Then I got a very upset text saying, "Where's the cranberry cake?" And I said, "It's I of course denied any knowledge of its existence." And my wife was not happy because she wanted some. So yeah, it's my bad. We'll just make another one.
Make it. It's an excuse to make it again.
But yes, exactly. Now that was our food for Thanksgiving. I came home from practice and had a whole plate of leftovers. I want to take a step back.
Yep.
We talked about this last week, you and I off air, and I didn't really bring it up because it was one of my other family members involved. It's her wedding, and I said I went to a wedding, but when I talked to you about it, I said, man, I had to get this option for me with my stupid allergies, and they brought it out, and it was unexpected, number one, because we had talked about a different menu item, my cousin and I, and then I got this item, so now automatically I'm alarm bells are going off like, hey, what is this? Why have I got this? I called the server over. I'm polite. I'm saying, could you please double check that this is made for me? She's like, yep, no problem. Well, I took a bite of this, and it was like literally eating a bucket of road salt. It was awful. All right, now I admittedly had a small portion of Grampy's sleepy medicine beforehand, Grampy's sleepy tobacco before the wedding. I did manage to eat it about halfway, and I'm I'm not one who leaves food on plates, and my wife took a bite of it and said, "How can you eat this much of this?" I'm like, I got the munchies.
Exactly.
So that happened. Yeah, that actually happened. And at the end of the night, I saw my cousin. She's obviously, it's her wedding. She's running around like like a chicken with her head cut off, running around, having a good time with all her friends and everybody else. And we're old. I like weddings now that I'm not involved in because I get to talk with some of my relatives that I don't get to see.
Exactly. You appreciate that stuff at this point in our lives.
I do. It's awesome. And so I saw her briefly. She said, "Did they make the food to your specs?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm not going to have some allergic problems." Then I made a face. And she goes, "What's the matter?" And I said, "I'll tell you at Christmas," because I did not want her going into the kitchen and letting the kitchen know what exactly she thought of my food.
Yeah, she wasn't going to go in there and go Gordon Ramsay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't think she would have anyways, but so this on Christmas Eve I saw her and I said, "So I didn't mean to leave you hanging. I just didn't. It was your day. You had more shit to worry about. I wasn't bothering you." So I said, "That was easy. I ate a bucket of salt at your wedding. I ate a bucket." I said, "I was making jokes about taking the leftovers home because we were getting snow the next day and I could throw it on the driveway. Like that's how bad it was with the salt." And she starts laughing. She goes, "Yeah, I heard somebody else say the same thing." And I said, "Well, whatever." I said, "No big deal." But it was gross.
Oh yeah.
Really, it was so I've never eaten something like that where it hit me so hard with the salt. It was layers of food. It was like crust. And it was a eggplant parm they gave me. Eggplant, cheese, bam, fucking road salt. I'm like, oh, and even I went over to talk to my parents at the wedding. They were at a different table. And my lips were like drying up in front of them. You know what I mean? Like I had just sucked on a lemon. I'm like, "Hey mom, hey dad." Like, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "I just ate 5 pounds of salt. I ate all the MSG." So that was pretty gross.
Think about it. Now you're preserved.
I know, it was awful. I'm mummified. During the wedding, though, this is where this punchline comes in. I forgot my own punchline, and when I tell this story, everyone will realize why. Cousin John had let me know that an acquaintance of his has been growing sleepy tobacco for some time now.
Oh, okay.
And that I should talk with them about their methods of sleepy tobacco growing, etc.
Sure.
And I said, "Okay." And he introduced me. We talked for 10, 20 minutes, and I'm sitting with my brother-in-law, who is also a sleepy tobacco connoisseur. And she just whips out a bone that's the size of a human femur at the wedding and says, "Why don't you try this out? Let me know what you think." And I simply say, "Holy shit." Now, for those of you guys that don't live in cannabis legal states, be jealous. That's all I can tell you.
Definitely. 100%.
Get involved in your political process and make this stuff legal in your state because
you're missing out.
It's so much better than booze. It's so much better than booze. Well, she does that, and I hand it to my brother-in-law. I said, because he occasionally has a cigarette. So I said, "Do you have a cigarette pack on you?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Could you put this in here? Save it for Christmas. This will be our little Christmas fun, right?" Last night, as the crowd started thinning out at my house, I grabbed a couple of sleepy tobacco connoisseurs I know that were still left around. I said, "How about I cut this joint open, and I'll pour it into my bowl, and we'll have a little good time out on the porch." I took it easy. I know when there's something I smoke that is not normal, like normally in front of me, I take it easy.
Yeah.
I took 2 puffs on this shit, and I told you I was up in a red sleigh with a red-nosed reindeer delivering fucking presents around the world for the next 2 hours in my head. It was rough.
Yeah.
It was fun, but I'm glad I limited myself because otherwise I would have been freaking running down the street naked. I mean, it was crazy. So I'm a little... I'm not exactly a Rhodes Scholar today. Let's put it that way.
Oh, it's fine.
I do want to tie this up with a nice little fishing boat because this is going to transition very nicely to staying on the Christmas theme. We are a fishing show. We might as well talk a little fishing. We've gone through food and drugs, so let's go with fishing. I did get those fishing rods for my buddy's kids, and they loved it.
That's awesome.
They were very excited. So they'll be over the house catching bluegills this year. That'll be a blast. Probably a bass or a crappie here and there. I only asked for very specific lures, particularly trailers. I told my wife, "Give me a couple packs of trailers, throw them in the stocking. I'm good." Normally, when it comes to Santa Claus, my particular fun at Christmas, what I like getting books, and you're gonna laugh, I like getting CDs.
Yeah, of course.
I know. Look, I use Spotify just like everybody else.
Yep.
But when I come across a CD that I love or a complete musical collection, a moment in time, shall we say, I like having a hard copy. All right. And one of the things that got me into music as a kid was I like artwork that's involved in music.
Yeah.
I like where artwork and music meet. And being an artist, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll never be able to play music, but I could sit down and reasonably sketch out an album cover after 20 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I got a whole bunch of CDs. I got pretty much High on Fire's entire catalog for Christmas this year. So this will be known as the High on Fire Christmas.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's not a bad Christmas.
No. I got some blues. I got a bunch of stuff.
Nice.
Very excited. I got a bunch of books I wanted. And that's what I like asking for Christmas. I still, when you're in high school, like end of high school, college, you start asking for clothes and stuff because you need clothes. I hate getting clothes on Christmas. I know I'll never get toys again, but
yeah, exactly.
Adult toys are books and CDs for me, and that's where I'm at. And I know I sound old by saying CDs, but again, it's for
some people, adult toys are latex fists.
That is a true statement, but I like my CDs still, and I listen to music digitally, but to have the hard copy, I've just learned, what taught me these harsh lessons was iTunes. iTunes fucked with me for so many years, and I was trying to get away from CDs, and I finally said, you know what? Fuck you, iTunes. I do this myself.
Yeah. It's funny, man. I had a conversation about music with my youngest. This is a big year for music with my youngest. Like, she discovered Metallica this year. And before this year, she listened to, whatever her sister listened to, and she liked some stuff that she liked. And, my wife had brought her and her sister out to a handful of different concerts, but she was never really big into anything, where she was what I would consider a fan at all. This year changed that. She became a big Metallica fan thanks to Stranger Things, but even since then, she has grown into such a big fan of overall music. And what's interesting is the thing that I miss about the media of that is the collectability of it. When you've got, your CD rack and you've got oh, look at this, but I've got this artist, ding, 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 all the way till they started to suck. Or, whatever the situation might be. But it's that collectability factor. This year, she was asking on her Christmas list for a bunch of vinyl. And I told her, I was like, kiddo, she would ask me, she's like, Dad, do you have a record player? I was like, yeah, I've got turntables. But I said, really, to do the justice with vinyl, to truly appreciate it, you really need to make a major investment in high quality analog hi-fi. High quality. And to get it to do what you want it to do. I was like, what you're doing when you buy a record is you're buying a collector's item is what you're doing. And I told her, I was like, you do realize that when you on anything that you listen to our ears, you're only going to be able to hear it the same way you would hear it on Spotify or, whatever you're listening to. Now, for my family, I do a family plan for Spotify for all of our music because everybody's got their own musical taste and wants to create their own playlists and everything else. And it just works for us. I actually am one of those people that I do agree with everybody where they're where they say Spotify doesn't pay enough to their artists. I personally think they could at least double the rates of the subscriptions because I feel like the Spotify subscription is a bargain at the value that it's. I only spend $16 a month for the entire family.
We just got it too.
You know what I mean?
I finally bent over backwards and did it. It was just we had a chat in the house about 2 weeks ago. I know I'm getting off topic. We'll jump back, but we had a chat in the house about all the media we consume, and we just consolidated everything to me and my wife. We told the kids hey, we appreciate the fact that you guys are working hard, you have extra money, and you want this stuff, but let us do a family plan for everything you guys want. We had the discussion. So we ended up getting we already had one of my sons had Netflix. Yep. So we got Netflix and had to get the stupid extra screen fee. We learned that. Yeah. That took about 2 days to learn. We got the family Spotify. We already had HBO Max. We've got what is the other one? Disney Plus. Yep. All these little things. There was one more we had. Whatever. But we consolidated everything and said, you guys don't need to be paying for this shit. That's our job. Yeah. And we'll make sure that you have access to whatever you want. Just paying for it at your age is it's crazy. It's a utility. It's utility. You don't need to be paying for it.
Exactly. And that's the thing. I'm I look at it like this. It gets down to access of music. yes, did you get more cred having to go to that weird record store in town that was buried in some building's basement and having to crawl through crates and go through all this music to discover stuff that was new to you? Was it harder? Yes. Was it more of a challenge? Yes, it absolutely was. But I do think that when you give people unlimited access to a digital array of media that they can go and listen and discover artists with, I think you actually do something better for the music. You know what I mean? I think that there's something to be said there. You're giving people access to stuff so they can really diversify the stuff that they're listening to and not have to just digest the garbage that the radio or the mass media kind of puts out there. So that's why I am a big supporter of Spotify, of course. You know what I mean? And Jigs and Bigs is available on Spotify. Exactly. So I mean, it's like it is. I'm a big supporter. But for what I'm saying for Spotify, if they were to double or even triple that rate, I would gladly pay it because I think it's worth it. I do think that more of it should go to the artist. But regardless, like I tell my kids, I'm like I said to Delaney, I was like, I go, you've got the entire Metallica catalog in your palm of your hand. I was like, you can listen to any one of those things. I was like, so do yourself a favor. If you want the vinyl stuff, buy it and just take care of it. You know what I mean? Like, appreciate it. Open it up. Look at the artwork. Touch the insert and go through and like read all the stuff. But just take good care of it, because that's really what you're doing is you're buying that. I go, if you want to go and buy yourself a really nice Macintosh, preamp and amp, and I will give you my Technics 1200 turntable, and you can go ahead and listen to whatever you want. But I'm like, at that point, like I go, in order to really get the true benefit, you really have to be playing this stuff through tubes.
Yeah.
And
really
I mean, it's to really, really appreciate it. But I was like, that's like a whole other freaking level. So both my kids got vinyl. My oldest, she got a copy of Taylor Swift's newest album on vinyl. My youngest got a copy of Metallica's Black Album and a copy of Ride the Lightning. But that's after she bought a copy of Kill 'Em All on vinyl herself. So she's doing good. This was like the Metallica Christmas for her because she also got, what those Funko Pop vinyl figures are, right?
Oh, I'm aware. My oldest collects them. Yep.
So she got the Master of Puppets one that's got Cliff
with the
Burton.
Stage?
Yep. With the stage. So she's got that sucker. My youngest got her first phone. She's got an iPhone now and is loving life. So now we have a new member on our Life 360 app so we can track her as well. What else did my oldest got tickets to a show in North Carolina? So her and I'm not sure if it's going to be a whole bunch of friends or what the story is, but she's putting a group together this spring. They're going to go to North Carolina to go see this show. And, they got a bunch of other stuff. As far as what Santa Claus brought, now keep in mind, Bobby Roast Beef and Queen Beef have this agreement that we only do stocking stuffers. And as years go by, the line has blurred of what a stocking stuffer is. But some of these things that have shown up I'm so excited. So much of this stuff is fishing oriented. First off, I didn't really talk about the advent calendar, but my wife put together this handmade advent calendar for me this year. So every day I would open this up, and it's almost like I swear to God, maybe she's listening to this show. Because she just kind of put together things that would be ideal. Like they were all either like food items that I could keep long term. Like one of the items, there's a couple of different cheeses, vacuum sealed, and then there was a summer sausage, a beef summer sausage. Everything else was tackle. Everything else was lures.
Home run.
I think we talked a little bit about like the jig that first time, that zero gravity jig that was in there, and a bunch of different stuff. She picked up this. I don't even know. I'm interested to see. I'll show you what the boxes. There's 5 or 6, almost like the jig kit boxes size, and there's 5 or 6 of these little plugs with lips. I'd say they're crankbaits, but they almost look like they're supposed to be poppers. It's crazy. I'll show them to you. Do you have
them in hand?
I don't. They're upstairs. I have a whole box of stuff that actually I want to go and organize my tackle. I want to keep it all together. I'll show it to you, though. Actually, maybe I'll bring them with me tonight just to make sure that I've got them in case I see you.
Yeah, I'm a 50-50 on tonight. I'm actually getting tired now.
Exactly. So, I mean, so the fishing tackle was unbelievable. One of the other items that I opened up was a 12-volt electric blanket. Which, yeah, I would have loved this thing when I went and I camped out on the Cape with Becca, but I threw a post together, and I actually, Todd Grubb had hit me up, and I got a couple other people that were interested. I was like, who wants to go plan a camping trip soon? Like, within the next couple of weeks. I'd like, the colder the weather, the better. So, like, when you mentioned that the weather was going to actually take an uptick for a little bit, I'm like, son of a bitch. Well, maybe when that next drop comes down, I'll go for it, because I'm going to lay this sucker out and see how the wiring configuration works, because I've got two 12-volt outlets that I can reach. One would be down by my feet, my preferred spot to plug this in. The other one is up behind my center console, which might take a little bit of creativity to get it all wired and everything, but yeah, definitely doable. I'm stoked to try this sucker out, because my thought is this: I'll start the truck up, I'll get that thing running, and put it underneath my sleeping bag, and just let it toast the sleeping bag for me. I'll go and I'll shut that sucker off. I'll shut the truck off, climb into bed, kick off my boots, slide into my sleeping bag, and it'll be nice and ready to go for me. That much easier, because if you can preheat it, your body will keep it that much warmer. You know. And it's, it'll help out. Plus, if I get like really, really cold, just fire up the truck again and boost it one more time if it gets that bad. So, I mean, it's definitely something that I'm interested in. The other thing that she got me was like a camp chair. Now, do you remember the camp chairs I brought to the Niantic trip?
Yes.
They fold from left to right, and they're really sturdy, and they're comfortable up and stuff. They take up a pretty good footprint. Well, she got me this one that has a back support. It's kind of got like that frame where it's like an X frame with a piece of fabric across the top. It's super supportive. It holds like 300 pounds. And then it's got another piece that folds back. So there is a little bit of back support, but it's nice and low. And the nice thing is here, I think I can actually fit this inside my Plano camping box. So put all that stuff in there. That's going to just streamline more of like what I'm carrying. So it's not like I'm going to sit there all night long and hang out, but if like I need a seat for like doing something, I'm cooking something or whatever, and I got to sit down and do something, cool, I can do it. If I need an extra seat, well, now that's another seat that I've got handy. We're recording around the campfire or something like that, and we didn't count such and such people. Well, now I only bring those two chairs, and I got another one right off to the side, all ready to go. It even has rod holders.
Dude, that's a home run.
It's kind of crazy. It has rod holders. What else? Oh, she did get me this little like survival-y kind of kit with some fire starting stuff and a few things like that. But what's nice about it is I can store all of this with molly straps right in my truck, like where I keep my shovel and my hatchet and all that stuff. So that'll be ready to go. And the one thing, I don't know, oddly enough, like I don't know about you, the older I get, the more my hands go like, I just get like I need, not like my knuckles cracked or anything like that, but I'm always telling my kids, I'm like, hey, squeeze my fingers in my hands, something like that. And they're just grabbing on my hands, squeezing them. And I'm like, all right, cool. I don't know, circulation or whatever. My wife got me an electronic hand massager.
Ooh.
It's like a glove built inside of this little clamshell, like plastic housing, and it runs off USB, which is kind of crazy. You just pop your hand in there and then just let it do its thing, and it is fantastic. So I was like, oh, all right, very, very cool. I got my wife a bunch of cool shit for her new car too.
Oh, good. Well, what'd you get her?
I bought her. She wanted to get it's like a silicone coffee. It's like silicone molded coffee cup, but it's super tiny. It clips into your vents, and it's for an air freshener cartridge.
Oh, perfect.
So, yeah, she loves that. What else did I get her? I got her a corkscrew that is a bat. It's all like black steel, and when that old style corkscrew, you screw it down and the wings kind of come up like that. Well, these have hinges and everything. It looks like a bat. I got her this spider web. It's like a crystal and brushed bronze spider web ornament that she wanted. Okay. I got her that. What else did I get her? Oh, there was this food chopper. Like, she sent me this Instagram link and was like, Christmas? ? This is like back in June. And I was like, huh. And not to forget it, I just ordered it right away. And I think it's like a chopper, but I think like you load it up and it's like a hammer. I don't know. I don't know. I remember thinking it's like, oh, Hammer of Thor. Skull Crusher. You watch Violent Night and you'll understand that.
I will. Speaking of decorations, I should make a mention here. My in-laws sent me something nice. I got this hang on the wall opaque. It looks like metal and stained glass crappie.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
really?
my in-laws found it at a craft thing, and they're like, "Oh, Sean will like that." Yeah, they send me stuff like that every now and again. So yeah, I got to find a place for that in the house. That's pretty cool looking. But yeah, I mean that was it, man. I mean I had my good Christmas. Sounds like you had a good Christmas.
I had a great Christmas. Yeah.
Yep. And we have some news.
We do have some news.
This episode we have Ken Wood in. Now I have been pretty mum on some of the things that are going to be happening with MAKB and on the periphery EKF this year. We're going to let the interview with Ken let everyone know what's going on, and then next week we're going to have some follow-up information on that. Not really follow-up, but just some addendum stuff. Like I really haven't talked about our division and what's going on, and we wanted to save all this good new news coming out. We wanted Ken to break it. It's his baby. Both of these are his babies.
Yeah.
Both EKF and MAKB. We had a chance to talk with him last week, and we got the interview recorded in that segment too. So next week we'll come back. We'll talk a little more about it, and then the week after that, I think we're starting the cold weather. Segment 3, Nerd Talk with Bill, right?
That's starting. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That's going to be a good one.
Once the new year hits, we got that coming up. I don't know, man. These holiday ones, we should let everybody know we're just as holidayed up as everyone else, and there's not a lot of fishing going on. And
exactly.
I think maybe going forward, we just have a couple of nice, quick holiday shows like we have had the past couple of weeks.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, if we're lucky enough to get our normal segment portions in with just a tip or FTG or anything like that, that'll be good. But for now, a little bit of holiday bullshitting, and if this is your first time listening to Jigs and Bigs, sorry, we don't have a lot of fishing stuff. It's the holidays. We're in fucking New England. We don't have ice. We're in what's known as the dead zone. We don't have ice to fish, and everything's got skim ice.
Yeah.
So if we try to ice fish, we die, and if we try to get on a kayak, we die. So we're just going to talk about food.
That's exactly. You know what? I think we've been doing okay getting by with that formula. For the time being. It's definitely not a shock. Before we throw to this interview, there is one thing I want to jump in and chime in on here. I had a conversation with Chad earlier, Chad from Go Frugged, earlier this week. Actually, it was the day before Christmas Eve. And he had mentioned that earlier in the week that they had launched their campaign over at Indiegogo. Indiegogo is like a crowdfunding where you can go and, get a business, assist a business and sort of invest in them early on. And they have a few different options available for you. So I'll go over to Indiegogo. I just want to go and check it out right over here. But we've been sharing their link on our Instagram story, and I'm also going to post it in this episode here so you guys can check it out as well. But we had both, I think it was Chad and Russ on earlier in the season, and they were telling us about some of these amazing products for the outdoors. These are outdoor like first aid kits that are taken and they're taking a big step forward in quality in the products, but also in real products that you were certainly may run into a situation or going to want to have on hand. And they have a number of different options that you can jump in and purchase these. Like for instance, they have one what they call an OSK kit. That's the oh shit kit. You get one oh shit kit plus a free wound care for $69. That's 42% off regular price. It's a big savings there. You can get the oh shit kit with the heavy trauma stuff added to it at a 30% savings. That's also $69. You could order the Trailhead. That's a survival and a heavy-duty adventure kit. 30% off there. That is $69. You can get the Trailhead with a free wound care mod. That's a 42% savings. That's $69. $120. This, I think, is your best bet. Or one of your best bets is the oh shit kit and the Trailhead combo. 39% off. It's $120. And this, I think, is like the grand poobah. If you wanted to go with the base camp and Trailhead, $249. It's 37% off. And there's other options too. They've got things, the base camp, including an oh shit kit. They've got the Overlander kit, base camp XL, base camp XL plus a Trailhead or an oh shit kit. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on and on. But you're saving a bunch of money money purchasing these products from them, and that money's rolling right into them doing the full-on launch. So this is a good way to get your order in advance before everything kind of goes live and make it all happen. But he and I had gone and we were talking. I asked him how things have been going lately. And I did share the link on our Instagram story. I guess the first 2 days it started off great. They're definitely expecting there's obviously going to be a drop with the holidays and everything. But I asked him about deadlines and stuff, and some of these specials are only available in limited quantity. So I mentioned them specifically. You're going to want to check these things out and grab them while you can, because there's only certain numbers of them available. Let's see, the cheapest of the kit. Yeah, he says in our message that these prices the cheapest that these kits will ever be. They're marked down between 30 and 40% on the campaign, and they're looking forward to it. And also Trail Medic on YouTube had I started watching his video as well. He had just posted a review of the Go Frugged kits, and to quote, he says, "Finally, someone got it right." So this is a guy, an outdoors enthusiast with, not only with a medical background that is like, yes, this company is doing it right. It's a big endorsement. So we're going to put that information out there, guys. Hopefully you can get some use out of it. Or let's say it this way. I always feel bad wishing people terrible injuries and stuff, but let's say you'll at least get prepared should you ever need some of these products, because,
yes,
the best situation is you never use them, but you're prepared for them. That's exactly it. Let's hope you don't have to use a tourniquet. You know what I'm saying? Beaver wounds can be a bitch.
Yeah, you don't want to get no beaver wounds.
All right, let's go ahead and shift gears, guys. When we get back after this break, we've got Ken Wood joining us. Yeah, that Ken Wood, the guy that handles all that MAKB business all over the whole state. He's got some stuff over here that you're going to want to hear about. Yeah, also that Ken Wood that is involved with elite kayak fishing, that is like bringing that competitive fishing, kayak bass fishing to that larger scale right here in the Northeast. That Ken Wood. We'll see you guys in about 2 minutes. Don't go too far. Much more Jigs and Bigs goodness right after this.
Jigs and Bigs wants to take a moment to say thank you to our partners for helping us continue to push the limits of our fishing adventures and bring you amazing long-form content. We want to thank Old Glory Outdoors in East Brookfield, Massachusetts. Old Glory has an amazing selection of fishing tackle, including 6th Sense, Guggen Baits, X-Zone Lures, Shimano, Daiwa, Luz, 13 Fishing, Arc Rods, and many more. Use promo code Jigs and Bigs at oldgloryoutdoors.com and in-store to save yourself some money and support the show. For all your premium kayak needs, we partner with Three Bells Outfitters, located along Smith Cove in Niantic, Connecticut. Three Bells is your go-to location for kayaks and accessories from Hobie, Native, Bonafide, Jackson, Yakutak, Naqua, Boondocks, Burley Pro, and many more. Financing options are available to upgrade you and your kayak fishing experience. White glove delivery service is also available. Visit threebellsoutfitters.com for more info, and don't forget to tell them that Jigs and Bigs sent you. When it comes to high-quality polarized sunglasses, we've partnered with Torres. They provide stylish sunglasses in a variety of frames that are light and fit comfortably on your face. The polarization cuts glare and allows you to see the whole picture, helping you identify what's below the water's surface. They have a 60-day risk-free trial, lifetime warranty, and free shipping. Plus, you can save yourself 10% with the code JIGSandBigs10 at checkout. Visit Torres.com to check out their selection. That's www.torege.com. Again, we cannot thank our partners enough for their support. Please consider supporting them and supporting the show in the same process. Thanks. Jigs and Bigs is your favorite fishing podcast, right? Why not show the world how much you love the show while directly supporting us? We have men's and ladies' shirts, hoodies, and a variety of hats. We even have a waterproof outdoor Bluetooth speaker so you can listen to your favorite podcast while out on the water if you like. Check out jigsandbigs.com/shop to visit the store and gear yourself up. If you really can't get enough of this show, consider becoming a jighead and joining our Patreon. It's a subscription that gives you exclusive access to recording sessions that allow you to engage with us as we record the show. We also have some exclusive content there just for our jigheads and even have some special promo codes. Space is limited, so join now at jigsandbigs.com. Finally, if you're local to our area in Western Massachusetts, consider checking out the Western Mass Fishing Report, posted weekly at northeastwildwoman.com. We have amazing contributors providing great content and info for local conditions and what's been going on and working recently. Jigs and Bigs, so much more than just two lightly roasted hippies trapped in the 90s arguing on the internet about fishing. Alrighty, guys, Bobby Roast Beef here, and this week, I think we need to make this like an annual sort of a pilgrimage at the conclusion of the season when things are really starting to wind down here. We've got the one and only Ken Wood with us. I've got Sean the Fisherman in here as well, but this is, I think we need to give this like a fancy name. Should we call it Catch Boards with Ken? Catch Hands with Ken? Like catch up with Ken? What do you think, Sean? What do you think?
Catch VD with KW.
Oh, see, there you again. I thought I was bringing the level of this show to a certain point, and again, Sean just pulled like Dream Theater, pull me under. That's what happens.
Pulled us all under.
There we go.
Sorry, Ken.
Ken, how are you, dude? How's things, man? Now that I've seen some of your posts where you're just like, yeah, this was a mistake. It is too windy or too cold.
Oh yeah.
How are you doing with all this? I'm a little bit in denial personally.
I actually quit. I not quit. I retired for the season back in sometime in October.
Yep.
Whatever our last tournament was, the championship, MAKB championship, probably that was the last one. And I was like, all right, I'm done for the year. I get burnt out toward the end of the season.
Sure.
So I like to have some months, a couple months off, because I fished so much throughout the year.
Oh yeah.
So I. November, to spend time with the family. We did a bunch of things, hung out with the kids. It was great.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because I don't get to see them a lot during the summer because I fish so much. Two, my in-laws have my wife's parents have a place up in Maine on a lake. So every weekend in the whole summer vacation, basically, they're up there. And she works from home, so she can work from there. And I don't like going there because they don't have AC.
Gotcha. Oh, I wouldn't like it either.
No, it's awful. I mean, you should see these people. They're all up there. They're like, this is great. We're up in the house in Maine. We're on the lake. But they're like glistening all day long.
Yeah.
They're so wet for being so hot. And I can't handle it. So
New England summers are muggier than hell.
It's just, I mean, I don't know how you could not. But my wife is the same. So before we got married, like she owned a mobile home.
Yep.
And then I had a house in Brockton, and that's where we stayed and stuff. And then eventually I'm like, all right, we're gonna sell this place. We'll move into your mobile home for like a year and then buy a new house, right? Because we ended up staying there for like 5 years because it was so cheap.
Oh, of course, it's hard to say no.
She owned it outright. So, you just paid like a lot fee, which is like $300.
Yeah.
Holy crap, this is amazing.
Yeah.
But then eventually, we just had too much stuff. I had too much stuff. So, but when I first moved in, the first thing I tried to do was turn on the damn AC, and it didn't work. I'm like, it didn't, and then I went out there. The thing was rusted. The blade was the fan was not even on the thing. It was broken. I'm like, have you ever used this? And she's like, no. She'd lived there like 4 years.
That's insane.
And you're living in a tin can.
Yeah.
And you never turn the AC on. Like, what in the hell? So anyway, off topic. I'll track right from the start.
It's perfect though.
Yeah. Works with us.
But anyway, So I can't handle that heat stuff. I'm one of those guys that wears shorts in the winter.
Yeah, definitely.
It's brutal. You're cold outside, but then you go inside with like a winter jacket and pants, and it's just 90 degrees in these stores or whatever. It's brutal. So I'd rather freeze a little bit and then be comfortable when I go inside somewhere. Anyway,
I agree.
Long story short is, so that's why I like to have the break, get to spend time with the family and everything. But then, like 2 days before December 1st, Nate Shagnon messages me, dude. Yeah. And he goes, are you going to fish the KBF monthly? And I'm like, hell no. Like, why would I fish the monthly? It's fucking cold. Like, no.
Come on, man.
I'm tired for the season. And he was all bummed. He was like, and then he starts telling me, like, Matt Conant and Derek Brundle had signed up. Or Matt had only signed up at that point. I guess Derek was going to sign up. And so that would leave 3 people. You need 3 for the monthly to go off.
Oh, gotcha.
And what he was asking me is because he was thinking, all right, if I fish against Derek and Matt, they got their honey holes. They fish all winter a lot of times. They're going to beat me. I'm going to come in last. And he just didn't want to come in last place.
Gotcha.
He assumed that if I signed up, I wouldn't fish much and he'd be able to beat me. And I laughed it off, and I was, because it probably was true. But like over the next 2 days, the more I thought about it, because I'm so competitive with this crap, the more irritated I got.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And I'm like, this son of a bitch. So like at 11 o'clock at night, the night before I signed up. And so I've been fishing this month. I've been out, I think, 4 times already. Mm-hmm. One day it snowed. I actually went out with Nate, and
that sucks.
We're sitting in the car at the parking lot, and I'm like, is that rain? Like, and it's early, and I'm thinking it's just mist and condensation and stuff.
Uh-huh. Then
we go up to the spot. And this is the spot we have to get out and go through the woods and all this crap, and it starts snowing. Like, not like crazy, but it starts snowing, and then it's snow. And so when we're in the car, like, I looked at the weather report, 0% chance of precipitation all day.
Mm-hmm.
Sure shit, it freaking snowed all day.
Mother Nature with a giant middle finger right there. So, that sucks.
Yeah. So I'm probably going to go out this week, maybe one more time.
Yeah.
I was in first. Matt Conant just passed me.
Yeah.
So now I'm like irritated.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because I want to win, and I was kind of hoping, like, I didn't have to fish again for the rest of the month, but he took over first, and I'm like, crap. So I have to fish again. But I don't think I'm signing up for the January monthly, because I know they have it.
Oh yeah,
it's all year. So.
Yeah, that's intense, man. And this time of year, this is where it's got to get pretty thin, especially like for the monthlies. Like you said, getting 3. I mean, what's it look like generally for how many months go without a monthly tournament just because there aren't enough people involved, or are they pretty regular?
No, I mean, I think before they didn't have them this time of year. But then the people like down south and stuff started to complain, I think, that they, because they had a break, I believe, if I recall correctly. So even the guys in Florida couldn't fish the monthlies. Like they started up in March or April or something. Mm-hmm. So then they just made a change where it's like they're all year round. And I'm sure that there are places that we could find that we could fish in January, February. I mean, I've had tournaments, not kayak, but bass boat tournaments.
Yep.
And, so, yeah, you can find open spots somewhere. But I just that's tough. That's tough because, like, for me, I don't like to fish in the cold weather. Like, if I will, I'll fish like a really small pond.
Yeah,
I won't go out on a big pond because I don't have like a dry suit.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Like, I bought one and I'm a little too big. Like, I just felt so uncomfortable.
Yeah,
and I didn't like it at all. So I dress warm and all that crap. But now, after flipping at the national championship a few years ago in that cold water, like I know, like. Layering up and stuff is not good. So I have to fish like a smaller, shallow body of water.
Yep, for sure.
I'm not going to go out on like Mashpee, Wakeby, or something like that in the winter.
Yeah, no.
So then it gets tough, and then it's because those smaller bodies of water tend to freeze up.
Mm-hmm.
In the big ones, So I don't know. I don't know if I'll. Now I'm on this, challenge series thing. I'm like, well, I didn't really fish any last year. Am I going to do any of the KBF championships next year?
Yep.
And then the KBF the monthly series that started in October for 2023. So
yeah,
I'm already 2 months behind, and I don't know.
Freaking bananas. Well, we've had as far as MAKB goes, there's been some pretty significant changes here. Actually 2 new divisions have been added. So, I mean, Sean and I were talking about this a couple of months back when the initial buzz of this started to kind of come about, and just to look back and think, just a couple years ago, MAKB was one single division, and look at the involvement from the kayak fishing community. And I mean, I I don't doubt for a second that both of these other divisions are going to be filling up within their first, by their sophomore season. I think they'll be chock full, and just like even the Western Division, space can be at a premium, because these things tend to fill up quickly. But like, it's pretty amazing. How do you guys feel about it over on your end of the state? Like, especially because you're rubbing elbows with the OGs that have started with MAKB back then. Is everybody as shocked as I am?
I think some people love it. They think it's a great idea. Some people are kind of like, why?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
You always get those people,
because
though.
it really is like, we're not a business. We're not making money, so why do it? Right. It seems like it's adding stress and work and all that stuff. And it's just because, I'm just trying to do a good thing for people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I think
really the only thing is to it. It's not like super altruistic or anything like that. But we are doing it for other people. We're not making money, all that stuff. So
and the demand is definitely there. The demand is definitely there. There are people who want to compete and they want to fish, events that are like more local to them. So I think that, if nothing else, you guys are doing a huge service to folks that are in Massachusetts that want to get out there and compete.
Right, and it's going to take a time. I think that the attendance will dip a little bit. It's always packed in the beginning of the year.
Yeah,
and we were before COVID. Something happened with COVID. Like, I don't know. People just we had a lot of people that fished with us, and then that whole aspect of getting together after the event and hanging out and all that stuff, it kind of disappeared with COVID. And we haven't really, at least on the Eastern Division, we haven't gotten it back. We got a couple, some new people that came in, and they'll be in the money and they'll be gone before we all even get back to the ramp and stuff. Wild. So it's a little weird, but I think it'll grow back. And once you start getting more people in and all that stuff, we a bunch of ours sold out this year or filled out, same with the West, and then it slowed down. So with these two new divisions, I'm sure, those guys, you get the guys running the Central Division, they fished the Western Division. Joe DeDeo's helping run it. He's fished with us. Mike Morcone, he's out that way. He might fish the Central Division.
Oh yeah.
And then you got the guys, Anthony Campbell and Patrick Brown, they run in the Northern Division. They fished with us on the Eastern Division. So yeah, we're going to take a little bit of a hit, but it's just, you got to promote it and push it and all that stuff. And it'll fill out again. And it's changed with social media too, like Facebook and the algorithms, and people aren't seeing the posts like they used to.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's always challenges with that, so it's tough.
And I think overall, though, when we're going to look at every division, I think what we're going to see is, the Western's going to lose numbers. I don't even know if you guys are going to lose numbers because you were selling out and then having waiting lists. So we'll see what happens with the East.
Yeah.
But if we lose, like you and I had talked about this last year about should there be other divisions before the start of the year. And I was worried because I didn't know what year two was going to bring.
Yeah.
What year two brought for me was the realization that what you have set up over the past, 7 years with MAKB is a good enough system that people want to be involved with it everywhere. I have now no doubt that within a year or two, Western numbers will be replenished because we're building that community.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
We're mirroring that community that you built out East, and we are able, and have been able to let people know in advance. Hey, we're going to, even if it's just 99, whatever restaurants nearby to a body of water, we try to stop there afterwards, do our little award ceremony for everybody, and grab a bite to eat. And some people don't want to eat; they just want to have a drink and get going. They do that. It's, hey, if you can show up, great. If you can't, great. We'll be here, and that has worked out really well. What's really going to be a plus with those two divisions, I think, is I'm sure I'm not the only person. I was probably the first to really get in your ear about it. I loved fishing with you guys, and I hated having to wake up at 1:30 in the morning to get out to across the state to be ready to go for an early tournament. It was murder. Because that meant for me, I was getting to bed at 9, 10 o'clock. I was getting 3 hours of sleep, and then, fish for 8 hours in the sun, and then have to drive home another 2 to 3 hours. Yep. It was murder. It was dangerous, to be quite honest. And I couldn't maintain that every month, or in some cases more than once a month. Having these divisions now not only spaced out around the state to cut down on drive times, but one thing that I think I want to leave in your lap of what you and I talked about months ago that's coming to pass is we standardized the schedules between the divisions, which I think is going to be huge. And obviously that we'll talk a little bit more about that working with EKF and KBF, but we with the standardization, I think we did a really smart thing for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You talked about, we both talked about having all the events on the same days and all that stuff, but that's not what we're going to do, but we're going to have 6 events per division.
Yeah.
6 regular season events. These would be AOI events. You get points for Angler of the Year per division. And we actually haven't made this official. You want to talk about the what do you call it? The AOIs. The AOIs, the different AOIs that we're going to do. You want to talk about that? We decided that, right?
I can't remember. I think we decided we're going to do it. I think we're working on the details. Maybe we hold that one close to the vest for now.
All right. But yeah, that's how we decided. I think I was talking to Mike Morcone and the guys for the KFL team about it the other day, and actually Mike suggested that, and I was like, oh no, that's actually what we're doing. So he thought it was a good idea. So I think that's what we'll probably do. So, but we can talk about it another time. That's fine.
Oh yeah. Now let's dive a little bit into EKF, because EKF is, I think if you're a New Englander, regardless if you fish mainly in Massachusetts, you fish with MAKB, or you're involved, or maybe you're just after like the travel element, you want to get out to larger scale events and stuff. EKF, I think, has in the last couple of seasons really shown a lot of growth, and has really kind of turned into. I think if we're talking about kayak fishing in the Northeast, I think EKF is at the top of everybody's list of things that are kind of involved in shaking things up and putting the Northeast really like on the map at a grander scale, So, but you guys have had some changes up over at EKF and stuff. Why don't you we'll dive into some of that and see how what's in store for the 2023 season
for elite kayak fishing specifically?
Yeah.
We've so yeah, with MAKB, that's a local thing, Massachusetts.
Yeah.
And just over so in a nutshell, elite kayak EKF is elite kayak fishing. It's a I think I discussed it on here before, but I'll recap a little bit. We just when you have these other trails, KBF, and now you got Hobie and Bass and all that stuff, they tend to be southern trails. KBF has come up here and they've supported the Northeast quite a bit. Even they've scaled back. Their schedule has got far less events this year. There's only one event up here in the Northeast.
Wow.
Hobie's coming back, but they threatened not to. And there were other people like the dipshits from KBN saying we don't deserve it and all that stuff, because we had 89 people turn out for the Winnipesaukee event last year, which ironically is the same number as their Mississippi River event in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And they never said anything negative about that event, So it's clear that the Northeast is not on anybody else's radar. Fishing is, like I've always said, it's a Southern thing, in the perception is that it's a Southern thing. So that's where the trails focus, which is fine, whatever, So we decided that we wanted something bigger up here. And originally, what became EKF was just an idea that I think it was Justin Hausner and me and some other tournament directors. I believe it was Justin Hausner's idea from the start. He's the New York kayak bass fishing group. He's the guy that runs that. But he wanted to have just a big tournament, where it gets to all the kind of regional groups together for a big invitational open event at the end of the season. And that was a pretty cool idea, but nothing really happened with it. So I had created this logo for them, and like 2 years later or something, I'm like, man, we need something big up here. Let's do that. Let's have a big event.
Yeah.
And then COVID hit, and that didn't happen. And then the next year it kind of evolved. Well, let's do a little trail. And then because COVID was kind of still going on, it didn't happen again, and then we got more serious. Then at that point, it was crystal clear that kind of we needed something up in the Northeast because the bigger trails just weren't focusing on us. And that's where kind of elite kayak fishing was born. That week, me, Jason Gardner, Adam Rourke got together.
Yeah.
We started to build this thing, and originally, again, we were treating it like a kind of a local trail on a regional scale.
Yeah. And I think that's the appeal,
It is, and then it's grown since then because now we're kind of like now those southern groups have kind of even abandoned us more since then. So now it's like we definitely need this, right?
Exactly.
And things have changed over the years. Jason Gardner's not with us anymore. We've got 2 new people on. We've got Torrance Davis. We've got John Ferreira. They're kind of like our media guys, social media. They're really good at that. John does great video editing and all that stuff. And then it's me and Adam are running the show. And we've incorporated it. So now it's an LLC. And, we're still kind of that local aesthetic. You know what I mean? But it's growing, and unfortunately, it might grow to a point where it's not. It doesn't make sense for us to continue fishing the events. Yeah, which would be a little disappointing because obviously
it's bittersweet for sure.
We started it so we could fish these events, but if it starts to get profitable, say we stop working with sponsors because you get big money from sponsors and stuff, and at that point, if it becomes like a job, then we'll have to step aside. But I'm kind of hoping not. Kind of hoping we can grow it to the point where we could still also fish it. Yeah. Have people, I mean, Three Bells, like Lauren from Three Bells and all that stuff. If she comes out and helps us set up the award, so we don't have to get off the water early and we can just roll in, and So, I'm hoping that continues to happen at least for another few years. But yeah, we're growing. We added a 5th event this season. We've had 4 in the past. And then a championship. Last year we had a 2-day championship. We talked about doing 2-day events. But we decided that we're not going to do that, just yet. Maybe in the future. But we figured the 1-day events are better, and then a 2-day championship, and then again, like I said, we added a 5th event, and we're going to some really, really awesome places this year. We tried, last year we tried the Connecticut River.
Oh yeah,
in Massachusetts, because we don't have many options here in Massachusetts. We got the rivers basically.
Yeah, really.
So Connecticut River, and it had a low turnout, I think, because there were a lot of unknowns there, but it it had good numbers, people caught fish, I think 80 something inches won it, right? So that's always an option now we can go back to Connecticut River, and hopefully next time we go back there'll be bigger numbers, but we are actually fishing the Connecticut River next year. That's another unknown, but we're going way up in New Hampshire.
Gotcha.
Way north. There's like so Derek Brundle suggested it. He says it's a good fishery. We're going to do a section of the Connecticut River. Then there's a thing in the middle called Moore Reservoir, and then we're going to do another
way up
section
there, isn't it?
It's way up. Yeah. So we're going to do another section of the river after the reservoir. So it'll be a lot of water to cover. Yeah. Because again, in New Hampshire is kind of similar. Plenty of big lakes.
Oh yeah.
But not enough to host a big event because there's no parking, there's no ramps.
Yeah, that's what makes it tricky. It's that the facilities that make it manageable to make it all kind of come together, and that's where like the river setups, like we had talked about the multiple areas for folks could drop in, kind of made it work out really, really well. But yeah, that's not the case with some of these large places. Plus, you have wreck traffic in the summer that you kind of have to deal with. Like we definitely heard about Winnipesaukee.
Yeah, and that's really Winnie's really the only place that we can go.
Yeah. It's a big one.
If you keep going back every year, you're catering toward a certain group of anglers. Like anybody can win there, but there are certain anglers that do really well.
For sure.
And if you keep going back to the same spots, then people are going to kind of go, "Oh, I'm going to go back here again."
You got to shuffle them up the best you can.
Yeah. No, we want to change it up. Maine, we have the same problem in Maine.
Yep.
And we learned now because prior to this year, Jason Gardner handled the permits, and I think he kind of. We learned that things weren't set up the way they should have been. Like we had to go through this whole process with registering elite kayak fishing, and then they didn't know. Like we put in permits and we put the numbers in, and they were like, "Wait a minute, you're going to have 100 people? Like what are you talking?" So they knew nothing.
Yeah.
About and so I don't know how that went down before, but again, the rules that they have up there, the limited parking, we're kind of stuck with fishing Messalonsky.
Yeah.
Because we can use Snow Pond.
Yep.
Down for the Arch where we all stay. We can stay there. We can launch there. It adds, not unlimited launching options, but that gives us those 3 regular ramps on the lake.
Exactly.
And then we can all launch from the Snow Pond because most of us stay there. So
Yep.
it's tough. So, there are some places that we're kind of limited to where we go, and we don't want to start, people why don't you come down to the Susquehanna? And it's yeah, well, maybe it's not too far, but we are a Northeast trail, so we want to stick it.
Oh, for sure.
But we got Cayuga, which is New York. We've got Champlain, which is we're fishing the Vermont side, but still it's close to New York. Then we got Lake George, and then the big one is St. Lawrence River.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's going to be. I mean, if I'm concerned, we have concerns about the weather.
Yeah,
right? Obviously, that's a big river system. It's got current. So we have potentially an issue if there's a lot of rain around that time. Makes it dangerous, But there's big bays and all that stuff. I'm hoping it doesn't matter, even if there is current. Just keep people, make sure people are safe.
Exactly.
Get out of. But that place, I don't know if you watch videos of that.
Oh yeah.
I don't think there's ever been a kayak, not a big kayak tournament up there anyway. But I mean, Polinick has a video where he's up there this year in August, which is when we're going.
Yep.
And he didn't do that well, but he's got drone footage, and I mean, you're watching 7-pound smallies swimming around in 3 feet of water.
Oh,
I mean,
wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it's one of those places.
Yeah.
Bucket list fishery.
And that's it. You nailed it there. I think that's the real draw. If anybody wants to just, if they're into competitive angling and they want to get that big water experience, they want to fish a place that they've never fished before, that, like you said, bucket list, something like that. It's a great excuse to put yourself into it and go and do it,
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do this year. We're trying to pick places. I get it. To me, I have always said a tournament is a tournament. It doesn't matter where you fish. You fish with a big fish, little fish. It doesn't matter. Your goal is to win the tournament.
Yeah,
the size of the fish shouldn't matter, right? Obviously, other people I had said that this year in an EKF post, and then somebody from Ocean State Kayak Bass and kind of used it against me in the wrong context, right?
Of course.
Because a lot of people don't see it that way. I don't know why they think a tournament, you should be on an amazing fishery.
Yeah.
And obviously there are some places where you wouldn't go, because it's just not very good. But if you go to a place, it's everybody's going to catch fish. You might be 15 inches.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever. But either way, this year we tried to focus on some of the better bodies of water, because last year we did see a dip in some of them.
Yeah.
Oneida was different. We were competing in a Hobie event.
Mm-hmm.
I won't say any. I could say some other things, but I won't for that. But there were some reasons why I think our numbers were lower. But then again, Connecticut River event was low numbers.
Yeah.
I like how those are the only 2 I finished top 10 in. Thanks. That the Connecticut River, even to the day of the event, some of the competitors were shitting on it online. It's dude, we're all fishing the same river.
Yeah.
Right.
What does it matter? You and I see eye to eye on this. We've talked about it before, Ken. What does it matter if somebody wins with 65 inches? That means you won on a tough day.
That's exactly
tough place.
Yeah.
It's just a change of perspective. Just look at it differently. Mm-hmm. We are, as a tournament director, obviously you want people to come out and fish your events. Because of course there is no event without the anglers, right? But if you're only looking to fish places where you can catch big fish, I mean, it's weird. It's you can win a tournament with 60 inches. You don't have to have 90. You know what I mean? It's they think if I can't get 90 inches, I'm not going to win. It's well, it's relative to the place you're fishing,
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Makes it more exciting. And for the larger number of people that EKF and MAKB and every other organization out there want to draw in, do you really want to tell someone, you really, if you're not putting up 85 to 90 inches, you don't have a shot? Or are you going to say, hey, dude, last year this tournament got won with 65. catch your limit and you got a shot.
That's
you know what
exactly
I mean?
it.
That makes it more exciting for everybody, and it keeps everybody on their toes. Fish anywhere, Tell me where to fish, I'll fish it. I don't give a shit.
And then, of course, if we don't, if we say we're a Northeast team, but we only focus on the big, really productive Great Lakes, where are we going to be fishing? We're not going to be in Massachusetts. Or we're going to,
Nope.
We're not going to be. Well, we got Maine, which you can put up a big limit. It's going to be the same lake every time.
Yep.
It's going to be Winnipesaukee, and then every other lake is going to be. We're never going to do New Jersey. We'll never do Connecticut. We could do Candlewood.
And that'd be about it. Yeah.
Well, we'd all be addicted to Xanax after dealing with them, and I'm not even part of EKF. I would listen to you and be like, okay, I need to tone it down.
Got to dose up.
Yeah, there was a lot of drama involved in that KBF event there, but I think that might have had there were some other reasons involved.
Oh
with
yeah,
that.
I would say
it's going to be difficult because there's only 2 ramps. It's a huge lake.
Oh yeah.
But Rhode Island will never go to Rhode Island. There's nothing there.
Yeah,
that can hold a big tournament.
Yep.
So we have to. We're going to have to pick places that aren't great. If we want to fish in New Hampshire, what do we got? Winnie or what? We got this Merrimack River. There's the Nashua River. I don't know if that's even big enough to host a big trail. And then the Connecticut River.
Yeah.
People are just, if they want elite kayak fishing to exist and to continue to exist, then support those events that may not be on the a world-class fishery.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's the variety, and I think that ultimately is the experience that if win, lose or otherwise, like that, if nothing else, is the takeaway you can get from that EKF competitive experience is trying out these different up against large numbers of competitors. I mean, even if, like you were saying, how many was it for the Connecticut River? Was it 89? Was the...
No, 40.
Oh, it was only 40. Okay. Well, look at...
89 was for the Hobie event on Winnipesaukee.
Oh, that's right. That was the Winnie.
They were all bummed because they were selling out. The hype machine had that going, and they were selling out every event in like 2 seconds. And it's like, well, you get to the Northeast, we're a little bit different up here. We're not buying into that crap.
Oh, yeah.
Not saying Hobie doesn't run a great trail. They do.
Sure.
And I've fished one, and from what everybody says, they do a great.
Yeah.
It is very professionally run. Probably the most professionally run kayak trail out there. But that doesn't mean that the people up in the Northeast were a bit more cynical. I think, just nature.
I honestly, I think part of that probably just comes from the fact that these larger trails, at best, just dip their toe into the Northeast.
That's part of it, because these guys are like, well, if I fish this. If I want to fish the TOC, I have to place in the top 3?
Yeah.
Or continue, then it's AOI points and stuff. Well, then what's the nearest one? Nearest other event to me? It's 20 hours away up in Wisconsin. Or,
exactly.
You know what I mean? And then people are just, I'm not going to do it. Yep. So then you can't have the tournament directors and the fans and stuff start shitting all over the Northeast for not maxing out at 200 anglers.
Yeah.
Like, give us more.
Yeah.
Give us more. It's like KBF's going to see the same thing this year. They're coming up here one time. And I guarantee you that a lot of these guys that would typically fish the KBF championships and all that stuff aren't going to do it because we only got one event.
Yeah.
I'm not going to travel to all these other ones.
Not enough to make it worth that investment. It totally makes sense.
Yeah.
It totally makes sense.
The other thing we kind of, with the Northeast being overlooked, is if these bigger trails aren't coordinating with the bigger local trails and they schedule on the same day, I mean, why would I go to? I'm going to use Hobie for an example because that came up with the Oneida event. Why I'm last year I was invested in EKF, just going to all the events. That's all I wanted to do. See where the cards landed. Go to all the EKF events. So there's a Hobie, and Hobie was at Champlain, correct? Hobie at Winnie.
Winnipesaukee.
Well, fuck Winnie. All right, I wouldn't have gone to that anyways. But if it was at Champlain, I would have been like, well, I would have liked to have fished against that level of competition.
Yep.
The problem was I was committed to EKF. I've never fished Oneida in my life. I went out there because I was devoted to that. Why would I ditch an event that, I wasn't going to win Angler of the Year, but I wanted to see where my points were going to lay? Why would I ditch that event to go to an event that's only popping in for trail that's only popping in for one stop and I don't have that season. It's just a one-off thing on the same day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They didn't coordinate that. They could have made a phone call. Hey, is anybody who runs this, who runs that?
Well, that's actually something that made a lot of people mad, because when it came out, when they dropped their schedule, ours had been out for 2 months, 3 months, whatever it was.
Yep.
And, AJ made a comment about how when when we drop our schedule and there's a conflict, we expect tournament directors to come to us to resolve any conflicts. And it's like, people were like, well, that's pretty arrogant,
Oh, yeah.
And I get it. Hobie's bigger, right? But I mean, that's not really the way you win fans over, right?
Yeah.
You reach out first and then see, before making some sort of announcement. Because I'm sure, had we known previously, about the Hobie event, then we probably could have worked something out with Oneida, and maybe switch things around or something like that. But at that point, we were just like, nah, it's too late, man. We got all these things already in place, and then the flippant attitude about the conflict. It's like, well, how many people fished? We didn't have a ton at Oneida. We had almost 50 or something like that. Well, guess what? How many of those 50 would have fished Winnie? And then we wouldn't be talking about this low turnout for Winnie.
Exactly.
Not me.
No.
Yeah, definitely not you.
Yeah. So.
And there, with this year, when as on the local directing side, you let myself, Nelson, all the other directors, John, Bill, everybody, you let us know, hey, so we understand there's a KBF event coming up. You had already talked to Chad, and you said, hey, look, in case our members want to fish that KBF event, just don't schedule anything on this weekend. And other than that, set your schedules up how you want them. Yeah. We talked a minute ago about MAKB and not coordinating days. We figured that was not going to happen because there's no way. Like, one of the things with directors is we have to have directors there, and if directors on vacation and then the other 3 divisions aren't, that's going to be a mess. So we can't coordinate them all the same day, but we all can coordinate with each other. Try and help out if members want to fish different things. But when you came out and said, here's the EKF schedule, and do me a favor, leave this KBF one open in case our members want to go to it. It gives our members more options.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's where I think with what you just said about Hobie, where, it's arrogant because you're cutting yourself off the legs. You know what I mean? How many guys are there that are out there fishing these national trails that don't at least dabble in their local ones? I would say most probably do.
Yeah.
Right.
And if you cut that off, well, all right.
Yep.
Do what you're going to do.
You're not gonna avoid all conflicts. It's unfortunate. Like KFL. Greg reached out to me about EKF. There are no EKF conflicts.
Good.
Because we got a lot of guys that fish KFL up here that also fish EKF.
Oh yeah.
There are unfortunately 2 KBF conflicts, but 2 as in the Potomac River and Lake George, which is the only 2 KBF events remotely near us. So that kind of that sucks. But again, if you do what you got to do, right, and then you try to deconflict stuff, and if you can, you can, and if you can't, you can't. You know? But it's getting to a certain point, like you just can't deconflict everything. New York kayak bass fishing, for an example, like last year with Oneida, they were fishing Cayuga the same day, and they have big turnouts. So we worked with them, and then I looked at their schedule, and I'm like, oh shit, they're fishing Oneida like 2 weeks later. So why don't we switch them, right? Why don't you guys fish Oneida this day, see if you can, and then fish Cayuga, 2 weeks later, and so they did that, and it didn't really work out because they weren't like they had 40 something guys fishing their event, and I think only like 3 or 4 of them fished EKF, and then like 3 or 4 or 5 people that were fishing the EKF jumped over and fished their event. So we didn't even really need to. I kind of wish that more people double dipped, but they have a lot of they have a lot of events, and it's like how do you deconflict with all the local trails in the region? Again, this year their Cayuga event, they had a Cayuga event scheduled the same day, so it's going to be a similar thing. Both groups fishing the same trail.
That's all you can do.
So that one worked out. They had picked Cayuga, we had picked Cayuga. In New York, you don't need permits for kayak trails, so we didn't have to be concerned with that. But yeah, it's going to be a big event again. Hopefully, like I said, but they could have picked some other lake, and there you go. You got a conflict. What are you going to do, right? Do you yeah, I mean, there's only so much you can do. You try your best, and then at a certain point, you run out of days.
But ignoring that level is probably not the way to A, win friends, and B, get the job done. You know what I mean? And I think that's where you and your, having your contacts up and down the chain helps out. And bottom line, it gives anglers of every level more options. All right. KFL is kind of an exception because you've got that schedule that's every weekend. You know what I mean? And then there's a break, and then it's every weekend again. I mean, there's only so much. Even if you have a heads up, there's only so much we can do about that. I get that. One thing I did want to ask you about, I did some homework today, Ken.
Sweet.
So I made sure I caught the most recent episode of the breakdown that you and John put up. It was on Facebook. I caught it. Made sure I watched it recently. It was it was recorded just before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
But you guys covered some of the rule changes for EKF versus some of the other big ones, and addressed them as to what some of the negative impacts have been at KBF, Hobie, et cetera events. In particular, one that I've harped on, and I'm sure if you've listened in over the past year, I've bitched and moaned about it up and down. Team kayak fishing and individual events. Yeah. Let me light that fire. Go right ahead, Ken.
Yeah, so I got my boss over here wondering where I'm at. Not seeing you on the bridge.
You tell her you're at Jigs and Bigs.
Yeah, hold on.
We can write you a note if we need to. It's going to be a crudely drawn wiener. Just brace for it.
That's all we need.
Yeah.
All right, whatever. Anyway, sorry, I got a little distracted here. Yeah, so there are a number of things that I have had an issue with basically since the start of fishing these national events. The big one is team fishing.
Yeah.
And I mentioned this on our podcast. If you go back, it's the KBF members only group. You can type in like Team Kenwood, and you'll find a post that I made back in 2016. Because what I had done is I started fishing KBF, the online series, in 2015, and qualified for the national championship. So, and at the time, I kind of blew it off. Like it was, I didn't know much about KBF, and it just seemed like, how did I qualified for this national championship thing? Like, what the hell is this, But I had nothing going on. It was March, and I was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to try it.
Yeah.
It seemed like a big positive community, and so I gambled on it, and I went down, and it was great. You know what I mean? I picked up a big rig along the way at Delaware Paddle Sports. So I upgraded from my little sit-in to a big fishing kayak.
Yeah.
And it was down at Kentucky Lake, and I'm out there. I'm alone. There were like 3 guys from New York that went down. Looking back, and I don't even know any of them. Like, I don't think they fish anymore. But I was the only one from Massachusetts. I was the only one from New England to go down, and so I went alone. I knew nobody.
Yeah.
The online community wasn't as big as it is now. At that point, MAKB didn't even exist. It was only an idea. I'd still been fishing the Mass Fish Finder tournaments that this guy
Tom.
did. What's that?
Tom. I fished
Tom,
those.
right.
I fished a couple of those with you.
Yeah. Tom.
So that was when you started taking my money.
Yeah. No, dude. No. If you go back, that was terrible. That's when I had fish A1, and I remember I caught one fish on the way back to the ramp, and I got like second place. Like, that's how terrible we were at tournament fishing. We didn't know what we were doing, because we could only take out 1 rod, 2 rods. I'd have to have, if I wanted to take like 3 or 4 rods, I'd have to have 2 in the cockpit with me.
Oh yeah.
It was just so you couldn't adjust to the conditions or anything like that. There's no tackle storage. You could have 1 little Plano box. So yeah, we were pretty bad. But that's the trail that we started fishing.
Yeah.
I'd fished some through the New England Fishing Forum before that, but they were not money tournaments. Those guys hated money tournaments. You fished for it. I've mentioned this before. You fished for an ugly trophy. And then for the ugly trophy, you would just add something to make it uglier if you won it.
Yeah.
Then the next tournament, you'd give it to the next. It was just kind of dumb, right? But then Mass Fish Finder tournaments, that was for cash. So that was a little bit better. But, it's 5 people, 6 people, and what was the entry fee? $20?
Yeah,
25?
20 or
wasn't more than
30,
25.
something. Was it?
I think it was. Yeah, I don't think it was 30. But anyway, you'd win. And you'd win. It was crap, You'd win and Tom he didn't have a spreadsheet or anything. He just kind of see how much money he had. He put it into different piles, and so you could pay like $25 for the entry fee and then place like third, and you get like 15.
Yeah.
Tom was a nice guy. Just let me tell a quick story to bury him, because we're being too nice to Tom. The last time I fished with Tom, we had a tournament at Quabog, and this had to have been 2016 or 2017. And I talked to Tom and I said, hey, could you bring one out west? He said, yeah, we'll get a couple guys out there. They did. We had probably about 10 people on the water, but we all decided, because Tom and those guys were from east and they couldn't get out, no pre-fishing. I said, no problem. We'll spread the word. So nobody pre-fished except for Tom, who came out the day before and pre-fished.
Oh, you son of
caught a bunch of fish on docks, went back there, got the same fish yesterday, and then told us that he pre-fished. And we're like, dude, we held off from pre-fishing because you asked us to. Yeah, I know. I had some open time. Oh, thanks a lot, asshole.
Glad it worked out for you, Tom.
Yeah, exactly. God, did you get all the money? Did you count it? Could you count in front of us? Jerk. Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, no, he was a good guy. And then something happened to him. Like he got sick, I think. Something bad happened.
Oh.
I don't know if it was to him or a family member or something. Mm-hmm. He never really said. He wasn't specific. And then he disappeared. And did we continue fishing some math tournaments after that? I think we did.
I thought that was the last year.
I don't think it ended with him. I think we carried on running a few. Maybe I did. I can't remember. But anyway, it got to the point where it's like, let's fish. We want to fish for some bigger money. And that was, Don was in there. Bruce fished those. Troy.
Yeah.
And there was this other guy who his name was Joe. And I remember talking to him about it one day, about wanting to start a bigger trail. And are we off track here? What were we talking about?
Team fishing. It's all right. Keep
Team
going.
fishing.
Oh, crap, we got way off track. Anyway, long story short is, I had talked to him about it, wanting to start a new trail, and then he came back like the next tournament. He's like, I started a new trail. I'm like, oh, sweet. It was Boston Bass Stranglers. And
Stranglers?
Yeah, Boston Bass Stranglers. As far as I know, they still exist. Yeah. So he started this group, and he started to run tournaments, and he did a terrible job at it. I ran a couple, and I got to the point where I was like, you know what? I'm going to start my own trail. Screw this. Yeah. And then we had a little falling out because he didn't like that. Then he banned me from his group and all that stuff. And I haven't spoken to him since. But that's where MAKB was born. So anyway, yeah, I think, geez, how did we get that far off track? I think I simply mentioned that MAKB didn't even exist yet. Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, hold on, Ken. I'm sorry. I'm going to break the news on the show today. I'm sorry. I apologize. It's been fun working with you. I've got to start the Stockbridge Bass Sodomizers next week. We're going forward. I think the marketing's there. All right.
Yeah.
You should see our logo.
Yeah. Just steal it from the internet. That's what he did.
It's the Ditch Pickle Ticklers.
Yeah. Here we go. So anyway, basically, I had gone down to Kentucky Lake all alone. The early days of kayak fishing in the Northeast, there weren't many of us. And, I went down there and I started noticing that this must have been a thing because kayak fishing down south had been around for a while at that point. It was much bigger down there.
Yeah.
It had been around for up in the north as well, but just on a very small scale. But there were people that they were fishing as teams. They were clearly fishing as teams. Like that year, like Hoover had this like you'd have to go to the headquarters like every day and he had like band playing and he did all this crap and it was just so ridiculous. So you spent a lot of time there and I started noticing that there were these large groups of people and it's some of the bigger names that you see today. Some have turned out to be cheaters that are still there, but they were all together at these tables. They're going over maps. They're strategizing together in these large groups. And I'm there alone going, holy shit. Like I am not, this isn't a angler versus angler tournament. This is me versus groups of anglers. And it wasn't just those people. Like there were other groups. It's just how it was done. Mm-hmm. And I hated it. I fucking hated it. And I was like, all right, lines and all that stuff. And, there may have been an open that year, or a trail. Maybe the trail came up here, and I was fishing the Long Island. I don't know if that was the next year. Anyway, long story short, gearing up for the 2016 national championship, or which was March 2017, I had made this post about team fishing, and I kind of ended it on like a, if I can't beat them, join them type deal, But even we've talked about it since, all of us, like maybe we should start team fishing. We've even tried, and I don't know if it's just something that we do up here, or maybe it's because we came into the game a little bit later, but we're just incapable of doing it. Like some people do up here. Yeah. But like, I know like me and like John, and we've all talked, we just can't do it. It's just not in me. Like I don't want to fish against John. Like I don't want to team fish with John because I don't want him to do well. Like that's what I can't understand is how, and then there's rumors of people pooling money and all that stuff. When you start to think about it, like, that starts to make more sense, right? Like if we were pooling money, well, then hell yeah, I want John to do well because then I do well. Of course,
yeah.
So there's all these things. So I've always hated it, and I've been championing this thing for years, even in KBF, and I get shot down every time. And some things happened this year. So anyway, backtrack a little bit. With EKF, we decided let's change the game, right? Let's take these rules that need to change, that nobody's willing to change because they've been around for so long and they're worried about it. And we're not a business, right? So we can make some changes that aren't going to affect, the bottom line money and anything like that. Like let's elevate the game to a more professional level. And let's get rid of this crap where people are out there on walkie-talkies, they're on their Bluetooth, they're on their cell phones all day. Their buddy catches a fish and they call him over. It happened at one of the 10 Invitationals years ago. This is kind of where it opened up other people's eyes to this. One angler he did great.
Yep.
Or he was doing great. Another guy was doing terrible. And he called up his friend who was heading across the lake. And this guy sat up there, he placed like third. And he sat up there and admitted this. Like, I was heading across the lake. I had no fish. And then so-and-so called me and said, dude, come over here. They're here. They're biting. And he went over there and he finished in third. And I remember like sitting in the crowd and people were like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, really? You kidding me? And it's like, yeah, this happens all the time. So that was 3-4 years ago. Again, nothing changed because everybody's all like, this is what I love about the sport, is the camaraderie and all this crap. It's like, dude, there is a ton of camaraderie
even without
amongst us up here in the north. Exactly. You don't have to help your buddy. I get it. We travel together and all this stuff, and we lodge together, and people talk and all that crap, but you don't have to coordinate in that manner. Yeah. Especially on the water, right? On the water, if you're calling your friend over to catch fish, we saw it at Messalonsky during the spawn event. It was absurd.
That was a bad enough, I think, scenario that a lot of newer anglers that were looking to take that next step and go from local to regional. Yeah, I hope long-lasting damage wasn't done to that. Yeah, I hope. Yeah. I think the fact that you guys are putting this rule on the EKF books now should help mend some of that and bring back some goodwill, because some of the shit that went on in Messalonsky, and it didn't help that there was limited water. We didn't have that other body of water that was nearby or whatever. But there was some shit to be seen. Some shit.
Yeah, it was a very negative turn. It was fun and different, but it was at the same time, it was a circumstance type thing. Like, we didn't understand, even as tournament directors, how ridiculous it was going to be. Looking back now, like next year, we kind of scheduled the events to kind of be pre-spawn and post-spawn, not during, because you would run into that even on a bigger lake. Oh yeah, you'd still run into. So anyway, we came up with some rules that we wanted to change. No communication, right? No communication for the purposes of locating and finding a fish, and that was limited to like electronic communication. And I'm like, dude, let's change it. Let's change it to just communication. That includes everything. That's electronic, verbal, visual. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that means that you can't go by your buddy and hold up a chatterbait and point to it. And like nod your head like, dude, this is the one right here, without saying a word, let's just no communications whatsoever during the event, right? During the tournament hours. for the purposes of locating and catching a fish. And and the reaction to that, like so some things happened with KBF. There was the national championship, which was a shit show with people fishing 30, 40 miles up a creek, crossing private land, all kinds of stuff and to win these things. Team fishing, you know what I mean? And then there was an incident at one of the bass events where, again, another guy was way up a creek and stuff. So that starts getting the bigger trails to talk about rule changes, and one of them was the communication thing that came up. Yeah. So it wasn't our idea, but we were going with that first. And now the bigger trails are kind of following suit. So we're trying to figure out a way. We're trying to wait. We're like in a holding pattern, waiting for them to kind of make something official, because it would be great if we could have a unified set of rules that actually makes sense. So for us, we're definitely going that route. And I know people are going to have a problem with it. And I know some people aren't going to fish with us. We've gotten a ton of questions about, can we, in a nutshell, can we team fish while pre-fishing, right? And the reaction to it tells me that it's a problem. It's a bigger problem than we realize. If these people are that upset that they're not going to be able to communicate on the water during it, I mean, come on. That shows you right there that there's a problem, because again, these aren't team events. These are individual angler versus angler, and so that rule's coming. And again, how do you police it? You get all those questions all the time. How do you police it? Well, yeah, I mean, like any other rule, right? It's it's an integrity thing. But somebody will get caught. And I mentioned it, Jeff Sprague. They have rules against communicating in the big trails, and he'd been doing it. And guess what? All of a sudden, these text messages come out. They surface online. Yep. And he gets busted. Ken,
as soon as somebody does get tagged with this at an EKF event, and if it's public, I mean, if you hear someone from the crowd yell, "Check his pockets for lead," it's not going to be me. I promise.
The lead police. But, so we'll see how that goes over. Like I said, we're going to lose some people, but at the end of the day, you don't have. I mentioned it earlier. You don't have a trail without anglers. You don't have a successful organization without anglers. And if there are a bunch of anglers that are out there not wanting to fish because of that kind of thing, and there are some, then it's basically our duty to kind of make it so they do come and fish with us. Exactly. I'd rather lose a couple of great anglers, popular anglers, or whatever, and gain more unknown anglers, right? Because that's how a professional trail is run, in my opinion. You have rules that eliminate. You're always going to have people that break the rules. We had a tournament up on Winnipesaukee this year that at the same time there was a KFL event going on, and we had our rule where you couldn't communicate. Well, guess what? These anglers didn't broadcast on the KFL stream for that event, which is you couldn't
wave a bigger red flag.
Right, exactly. Of course, you are clearly breaking our rule. We can't prove it, but God damn, have some integrity, right?
Exactly.
It's not hard, right? It's not hard to fish an event and not talk to your buddies.
Yep.
And I was loud about it with the Champlain event this year.
Yeah.
Because there was a KFL match going on at the same time, and I said blatantly, "Fuck that! If I feel like calling somebody," and to your point with us Northeastern anglers, a lot of us not being able to do this, I think we made one text. The three of us that were working together, we just it's not natural, if that makes any sense. I guess the best way I can describe it is one of the people, I don't know if I'm hoping they were joking around, one of the folks that was fishing with us at an event that Nelson and I were fishing, individual event. Ken, you fish with me and Nelson, we're just like you and John, or you and Nate, or you and Matt, or you and Derek. We're buddies when we're not fishing, but we're on the water. It's fuck you, I'm out for blood.
Yeah.
And one of the guys made a joke. Oh, how are you and Nelson doing today? Oh, I'm like, fucking, I won. Fuck him. Ha ha. We'll go out to grab a lunch later and talk about it. But I wasn't calling him up saying, "Hey, what are you using? Help me out." Fuck
exactly.
That. No, it's what do you hang your hat on? But. Yeah, I get it. I get exactly what you're saying. It's a weird thing. It's like you want them to do well,
because you like them.
Exactly.
But at the same time, you want them to do terrible.
You want them to fail.
Dude, it's the most difficult thing to turn to your buddy that just whooped your ass and go, man, great job. I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
Because that's where we're liars as fishermen. Like, I'm not proud of you. I hope you fucking die.
Yeah. So that's just one rule. I mean, we're doing others. What are some of the others? God, can I even think of them right now?
You had the boundaries.
Boundaries. That's a big one.
Fishing.
Yeah.
Yep. Boundaries
thing. That's been on the the discussion board, the ideas board for years now too. Because I remember when I fished Lake Murray event, Cody Milton won it. Christine Fisher was there too. They were fishing up 25 miles up to the Saluda River, and I'm not criticizing them. I mean, it's they're well within the rules, right?
Doing what they're doing.
It's just when you're fishing Lake Murray, you don't think that you could fish up at the Pickwick Dam or whatever dam is up there. I don't think it's Pickwick.
Pickwick, dude.
Yeah. But you would think 25 miles up a river. That's not. You're in the Saluda River now. You're not on Lake Murray, right? So and it's fine. It's not like I've never fished up a creek or something, but at the same time, that was an event where a guy pedaling couldn't do that. Right? There was so much current. The fish were there, and that's really not a reason to put a rule in place because certain people can't do something that others can't. But at the same time, again, it's a different fishery at that point.
Exactly,
it's a totally different fishery. So we wanted to always put how can we limit that, right? And again, that's what kind of stuff went down with bass and KBF and all that crap. So our idea, I think KBF is planning on doing this. Dedicated launches, like there's a list. They're going to have a list of certain launches, and these are the only places that you can launch from. And then if you want to launch from somewhere else, you have to submit it to them and then have them approve it, and that's just going to be a nightmare because as of right now, what KBF always does is they always add a new launch at the last minute, right? And you know where it comes from. It's somebody who is camping at this place or wants to fish near this area, and this launch is going to give them an advantage. They bring it up, then they get it approved, which it shouldn't. It shouldn't get approved. I don't know who approves it, why they approve it, but it shouldn't get approved. But this is going to happen now even more frequently, right? You're going to have these people we go to these events, we drive around, we look for these out-of-the-way launches where nobody else is going to launch. You're going to have some guy that finds one on a Friday afternoon, and it gets put on the list. And, now you're going to have that happen a lot more times, unless they have this all right, you can't add anything 4 or 5 days prior to the event, some crap like it. But either way, so that's their rule that they're going to do. I don't like it, and if they implement that, we're not going to do that. We're going to set launch boundaries, meaning you can launch if we're somewhere that has a ton of, and I've used this before, the King Bay in Champlain as an example. There's a river there. The launch is in the river. Right, the ramp. It's in the river. It's not very far down the river, but it's in the river. Right, so if we have an event at KBF, we would set either that ramp or the next bridge down the river or whatever. We'd set that as the launch boundary, meaning you have to launch within that boundary, right, anywhere, and then you can go up the creek as far as you want, but you can't launch 40 miles down a creek.
No,
because one of the Coosa Kingfishers team from KFL, a lot of teams were annoyed with them because they kept winning, and the rumor is, and I can't prove this, but the rumor is that where they were fishing this Neely Henry place, one of the guys that always crushed it was fishing this creek way down off the river in the middle of nowhere. Whether it's true or not, I don't know, but if it is, that's the kind of scenario. I mean, again, not against the rules, right?
Yeah.
So not a big deal, but that's the kind of stuff we want to get away from, where somebody can launch 40 miles down a river.
Yeah.
And because it's connected, it's legal.
Yeah.
So we want to. You can go up the creeks as far as you want, but you have to launch within that boundary. You can't launch beyond it. You can't get out beyond it.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be a better rule. So that's one of the other rules that we're doing. There's some other ones we're talking about. There's going to be no wade fishing. You have to be in the kayak. You have to be in the kayak to fish, to catch and measure a fish.
See, I always thought that was a rule, but I mean, I guess I haven't studied them, but no kidding.
Oh yeah, it's for river events, and I think we changed that for a river, right? Yeah. You can, because there are rivers. You fish the Susquehanna. I mean, you're not paddling through a lot of that. Yeah. You're dragging your kayak. You know, you could, it'll float, but if you're in it, it'll bog down, hit the rocks. So for that kind of event, then you would allow wade fishing, so to speak, or maybe just make it so you can drag your kayak and you can pull it, but you can't fish. You have to fish from it. I don't know. You know, that's a rule that's on the table. I don't know what else do we have. There were a couple, but some of them we're just kind of waiting to see where KBF goes. A couple of them I think we're going to adjust a little bit more now that we've talked it through and we've talked to other people and stuff. We might adjust them. But the big one is the communications thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's huge.
I think that's something that's more aligned with the professional anglers out there, people are still going to coordinate off the water, at night and all that stuff. But during the tournament, you can't call your buddy over. You can't call him and tell him, hey, if there's a bedfish, there's a giant bedfish, you can't say like, hey, come over here, there's a giant here.
Exactly.
Stuff like that,
Yeah, so. And I think, that's the thing. It's worth the risk to, that might piss some people off and they might, drop off. They might choose not to enter these tournaments necessarily. Or on the other hand, you've got people that are going to look at that and say, that is how I prefer to compete and to have all of this laid out just this way because I'm going into it. And you're probably going to see more of an uptick of anglers that are just like, I'm not dealing with that bullshit. And they're going to want to be associated with having those rules on the book. Plus, having them on the books means that if somebody does break them and it's provable, bye.
Yeah. Right. And that's the thing, too, is like you can't just accuse somebody. Oh, I saw him talking, right? I mean, we're all going to talk in the water, right? You have to, if you're going to accuse somebody, you better have some irrefutable proof.
Yep, exactly.
But it should be a good thing. I mean, this team fishing thing has been proven to be successful for people in KBF and all that stuff for a long time now. And then KFL just solidified it for me.
Yeah.
I mean, God, with KFL, I mean, just look at how good we do. I mean, we communicate very, very well as a team. But then other teams, you look at other teams, and it's like not to trash anybody, but there are anglers that are really good, and then there's some anglers that are okay. But in a KFL setting, they're fucking amazing. They're out there crushing it. And it's like that is proof of concept, so to speak. So it's definitely something that doesn't. It has a place in KFL, but for regular trail, regular tournament, I think it doesn't have any place at all.
No, I agree with you.
So, you should learn to want to, crush your friends out in the water.
That is the most Massachusetts statement of this entire interview right here.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, love your friends and fuck them as well.
Exactly.
Crush them on the water. Because I Bobby, where were we when you were? Oh, it was I think it was A1. Finally took Bobby out to A1. Right. And after you landed your second fish over 19, and I just was not having a good day. I got a 17 or something. An average day for A1, but you crushed it. You had a good day. And I think at the end of it, I turned to you and smiled and said, "Feels good, doesn't it?" And you were like, "Yeah." And we knew what we were talking about.
Exactly. It feels good. Oh my goodness, man! My goodness. Oh, what do you got, Sean?
I was just going to say, to kind of come around full circle. I mean, with EKF, MAKB, there's a lot of stuff. Ken, myself, the other directors, which we'd be remiss if we didn't mention all the new directors that are on board.
Oh yeah.
So for the Central Division, Ken already mentioned Joe DiDeo, but we've got John Medina and Bill Galekis, who we all know we're going to hear a lot more from Bill this winter, because we do. Ken, I don't know if you're aware, we're doing nerd segment for segment 3 just to kill the winter with Bill. Bill has a lot of pop culture opinions that Bobby and I are going to talk with him about. Nice. That's how we're going to wind the show down every week for a while. In the Northern Division, we have Patrick Brown and Anthony. Anthony's going to slap me. What's Anthony's last name?
Campbell.
Thank you. Campbell. It's easy too. Brain farts. All right, so we got Anthony Campbell. That division only has 2 directors. In the East, John Ferreira moved over to EKF, so we've still got Ken. We got Kevin Amaral, Senior.
Yep.
We've got all right. Now I got to think about who all the directors are. We got Bruce Levy.
Too many.
I know, because now we have this huge giant group text, and even though we only lost John, so there were 5. There's one more missing.
Don,
Hold on.
isn't it?
Don Davis. Davis. Did I miss anybody? That's 4. Because you used to have 5.
That's 4. Yeah, that's it. Yep.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
If I missed anybody, I'm sorry. But we also talked that with the schedule being the way it is between MAKB and EKF, not trying to minimize conflicts with KBF and KFL as much as possible, that and going to a once a month standardized regardless of the date between the divisions, just once a month, 6 events for each division, and then the combined championship in October. That we talked about a lot of fun events if we can get them squeezed in on open weekends. So there was some stuff we had talked about, zone tournaments, elimination tournaments, or Survivor as you would, team tournaments with teams being comprised on different bodies of water between divisions, just stuff like that. So there's a lot on the table for us. The season is coming up. It's going to be here before we know it. I mean, you guys that are fishing KBF events are going to be getting going in what, a month?
Yeah, KBF
Really?
at the end of the month. Yeah, we won't be doing it because Elite Kayak Fishing is going to be at the New England Fishing Expo in Foxborough.
Yep.
The same weekend. So we're going to have a booth there. Unfortunately, we won't. Hey, are you guys going to that?
Unofficially.
Yeah.
I think we rented a big house thinking 3 Bells was going to be there and everything, and they backed out. So now we got room in this big house. It's in Shrewsbury.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was a good idea at the time, but now we're kind of looking for more people. So if anybody out there is going to the Boxborough show for the weekend and, is looking.
What weekend is that Boxborough show?
Like the 28th, 29th.
So if it's the 28th and 29th, we're making an appearance at a local used outdoor show in Chester at the Chester Rod and Gun Club up here. So that'll be going on that day. So probably the 29th is when I'm going to make it out.
Nice
for that.
If I don't have basketball, I'll join you. But I'm 7 days a week basketball guy until mid-March. So
we're calling them.
No more broke.
We're calling them Hoops the Fisherman now.
Oops, that's right. Oops,
chill it out. Oh, good Lord.
Oh my God. So yeah, a lot coming up for 2023 locally and regionally around here.
It's going to be a big year.
Go ahead, ignore us, rest of the country. We'll have our own fun up here in the Northeast. You're missing the party.
I think that's the best part of this, though. And I think if there's one thing that EKF definitely gives the Northeast, it's that. It's that party. It's that big scale, high competition, series of events that people can get involved with. So it's just like, hey, man, we built our own pretty cool playground, And then who knows what's in the future?
Yeah. We were going to do something really, really cool where we were going to, the championship was going to be no entry fee.
Yep.
And God, I really wanted to do it. It's a great idea. And I'd announced twice now that we're like this close to making it happen. And we're not going to do it.
Oh, you're not?
We could. Yeah, we have a better idea, I think. We have actually a really cool idea. And it's better on a business scale. Again, we're not a business necessarily. I mean, we're not making money, but using all of our operating cash basically to pay for people's entry fees into the championship. Doable, but maybe not the best idea at this point. Year 3, or this is basically almost year 1, 2023, because we're changing it up quite a bit. So it's almost like a reset. So
is the idea everyone pays for 3 events, no matter if they fish them or not in advance? Because that sounds like a great business plan. I'd love to do that.
Then no refund, and there's going to be 3 people fishing.
When you judge these events, are you going to use a whiteboard?
Whiteboard. Yeah.
Is that the plan?
Yes, when we give the trophies they won't have your name on it, but they will have 47 sponsor logos on it.
Especially 14 fishing, because it's got one more, so it's good.
That's right.
Just make sure you put in the rules in the description for every event. Yeah. Only cash exchanging hands at the boat launch day of event, because that's not shady.
Yeah.
Wow. This took a dark turn. Good God. I love it.
Holy shit.
I love it. Oh, well, we should probably wrap this sucker up. I need to remedicate. So,
Yeah, you were falling asleep.
that was no. I don't know if you heard this week's show yet, Ken, but
No, I haven't.
I need to get a tooth right over here extracted, and they can. I called them first thing Monday morning. It started Saturday night really bad. They can't get me in until Thursday. So I'm just freaking eating Tylenol and ibuprofen like they're freaking Pez.
Worst. Let me give you a tip, though. When they remove that,
Yep.
tell them they got to put something in there to make it so the tooth doesn't move. Because this gap that I have
Yeah.
is because of that. I had a tooth removed.
I see what you're saying.
My teeth have shifted.
Yeah,
to the
because they have
point
more
I now have a
space.
gap. Yeah, which I am super self-conscious about.
Yeah.
Because I never had. So I feel, and I'm like, how do people do this? Like, like a Dave Letterman had a ton of money, but like these people with these gaps between their teeth and they're smiling. I'm like, how do you get used to that? Like, so that's what happened to my teeth. So I'm probably gonna have to get braces. At 40-something years old.
That's rough.
Ken, I still have braces in my mouth. I have permanent retainers behind my teeth
Really? Yeah.
because I had braces as a kid, and they just keep it.
I'm a game show host.
'cause
It's coming. I'm just going to take them all out and get veneers anyway. It's
That's what you do. Yeah, there's a lot of people out there that have fake teeth.
yeah, exactly. I mean,
Realize it.
I'm like, oh man, but it just freaking just kills me, man. Oh,
Welcome to Jigs and Bigs, game shows and gum jobs.
that's fantastic, right?
There's your retirement plan.
That
Bob.
is fantastic, right there. A mouth's a mouth.
Glad to be here.
Oh God,
All right. Sponsors.
I love
No,
this.
you're not. You're gaining them. People know what they get with us.
Oh, that's true. That's true. What do we? Our new tagline we've been telling people is, our podcast. Yeah, not exactly safe for work, but this is the way we like to pitch it to folks. We have hearts of gold, but mouths of truckers. Make of it what you will.
Yep.
Friggin' love it, man. Ken, thanks so much. This was really, really awesome. I'm excited for what the next year has to offer for MAKB and the new divisions, and of course for EKF. This is going to be awesome. You want to give any shout outs? You got any sponsors or anybody you want to shout out? And tell folks where they can find you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. I got a fishing page. It's like I always say, it's a very creative name, Kenwood Fishing. Because fishing with wood is not professional.
That's true.
I would love to have that name because it's hilarious.
Oh, it is funny.
I don't know if my sponsors would like that. Everybody there is awesome.
We know them.
You didn't know them. That's
We're
right.
familiar.
I'm going to be down there soon rigging my Jackson Nar. I'm also on the Jackson team. They're great. Yak rods, fantastic rods. You want to buy some, KW22, use that code. You can use that code with 3 bells as well. Get a discount. What else? Rocky Ledge Tackle. Jim makes some fantastic baits. He's got something going on. He's had some family issues for the past couple of years.
Yeah.
I think he's just backlogged. Like he starts the season strong and then kind of falls off. But if you want some amazing baits, some great spinner baits, especially I've said it before, the swimming spinner bait. It's the most unique spinner bait out there. Runs, it's a slow roll it. It runs almost like a chatterbait. It wobbles, it's got a lot of vibration. It's fantastic.
I believe I still have this. I believe I still have the scars from what you did to me with those spinnerbaits one day, Ken.
Yes,
Thank you.
correct.
Appreciate that.
I showed you the video of that recently.
In my face. Oh, you repost it once a year just to make sure I see it. Thanks. And everyone else. Love it.
But yeah, so those are fantastic. I actually have a discount code with that. It might be KW22. I don't know. I can't remember. KW10. Try them both.
Yeah.
Or hit me up. I have it somewhere. Hit me up. And then is that it? Dakota Lithium. Holy crap! Can't forget Dakota Lithium. Best. They're clearly the best around. They're doing big things. They're big time now. In the major leagues, so to speak. So they're always great. Craig Storms. He's always been great. And then that's it for sponsors. I might have another one to announce next year, but that is
nice.
It. I always pick. I'm not a pro staff whore. So I can't do that. So if I'm on a team, it's a good team.
It's for a reason. Yeah.
because I can't fake that. Join a battery, lithium battery company on their pro staff team, and then start telling people it's the best thing on the market when I don't even have one in my.
Yep.
It's still in the mail.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what everybody else does. I don't play that game. I can't do it. So yeah, those companies are well worth checking out. And like I said, I don't have a discount code for Dakota Lithium, but all the rest I do.
Yep.
Or I have ways to hook you up. So hit me up or try those codes.
Awesome, man. This is great, Ken. We will be in touch, man. This is fantastic.
Yeah. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Make sure to check out his YouTube channel, guys. It's very, very good, entertaining shit.
Yes. I was told yesterday by Craig Storms, actually, I didn't have the it factor.
Really?
Basically, none of us did. He said John did because John was young.
John's young. Well,
John's young. I'm like, dude, get out of here.
The it factor is very interesting. It can be a lot of different things to a lot of different people.
Right. There's a lot of people.
Definitely.
And yeah, my videos aren't crazy entertaining. I'm not, not clickbait stuff. I'm not, walking out on thin ice just so I'd fall in.
Yeah.
To get that on film, stuff like that. But,
exactly. So if that's what you're seeing, it's organic.
It's real. Yeah.
He's really falling into shit.
Yeah. Usually it's dumb stuff. I do make a lot of stupid mistakes like that. So, but I don't know. I stepped it up this year. I didn't put a ton of videos out, but I think the ones I did were good.
They are good.
I hadn't put a video up since 2018.
Yeah.
But yeah, I fish so much. You know what I mean? Trying to get the right footage and all that stuff. And some events are like, there are people out there that they have a crappy event and they'll put it up, and I'm like, yeah, I don't like watching those.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That where you catch no fish. It's not fun.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Unless there's something of value there.
Right.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. And let's be honest, lots of times there won't be.
Right. Yep.
It'll just be.
But next year, I'm going to step it up. I'm going to do more videos next year.
Nice.
I got better at editing. I try to teach myself video editing.
Yeah.
So it takes some time. It's not that easy. So, but anyway,
sure.
Yeah, check it out.
Awesome. All righty, guys.
Subscribe.
Yeah.
Smack the like button. Subscribe. Hit the bell. Is that how it goes?
That is how it goes.
I never say that. Maybe that's why I don't get any subscribers. Maybe they need to be told.
Just shorten it to ring that bell.
Ring the bell.
Ring that bell. Just ring that bell.
Ring that bell. Quasimodo style.
God, you spend $99. I'm not ringing that fucking bell. I'm not ringing that fucking bell. Oh, this is good stuff. Thanks so much, Ken. We appreciate it, man. You're the best.
Yep. Thank you.
Awesome. Take care, guys. We'll be up with our next segment right after this. Here we are, guys. Jigs and Bigs just wrapped up that interview with Ken Wood. A great interview, and I got to tell you, if I'm being completely honest here, I am still blown away at how much the MAKB web of high quality tournament events has grown over the entire state now. Truly not gone just from end to end with this midsection in the middle, but now everything is covered. This is huge, man. This is really good. So for Ken and everybody involved with MAKB, excellent job. Shit's happening.
Yep. We're going to talk a little bit. We're going to flesh some of those things out.
Yep.
Next week. But yeah, Ken, we've been waiting to get Ken on for a little bit. I mean, this news has been popping up on the Facebook pages for MAKB, the Facebook page for MAKB for, I don't know, 2-3 weeks now. Mm-hmm. But I wasn't saying anything on the show till the boss man came on. Yeah. He came on. So we'll talk a little more. We'll give some details about what this is going to mean and some of the things we've got plotting and planning and on the back burner, on the front burner, on the side burner, on the Bunsen burner, all of them.
It's all good.
We'll talk about it. Yeah, it's good shit. Bobby, before we get going, I do want to let everybody know, just a quick reminder, Christmas is over. Not everybody gave you presents. We know. Bobby and I know. We saw.
It's true.
That you got money for Christmas, folks. So if you're thinking about getting into a new kayak or starting kayaking or replacing what you have.
Or upgrading what you have.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Upgrading what you have. Please consider, going with what we consider the best the best customer service for a kayak.
100%.
Retailer on the East Coast. Head down to freaking Three Bells. Talk with Lauren. Talk with Derek. Talk with Ted. Find out what the best fit for you is through them for a kayak, and let them know we sent you.
Yeah.
And that's a ringing endorsement because it's us.
Yeah, exactly. It's true. It's true.
It's true.
Like,
that's all I got.
It's yeah, definitely. If you're looking to up your game, and now this is a great time. Especially if you're not huge into ice fishing and your attention isn't there, and you want to go and put your attention into getting ready for next spring, this is a great place to start. Regardless if you've never had a kayak or you're looking to modify what you have or replace entirely and go big, like this is a great time to go ahead and do it. So reach out, definitely talk to Lauren, talk to Derek, talk to Ted over at Three Bells, and they're going to take good care of you. They always do. What an amazing show, man. One thing I do want to mention here is that I shot a text over to my boy Paul, and the road to Chickamauga is on. Like, it's official. I'm going to start. I'm actually going to try to create an open here where we're going to talk about the road to Chickamauga, and we're going to. I'm stoked. I spoke with Caleb about the date that we're looking at, the weekend. That is locked down, so we're good in business there. We got to handle lodging. That's going to be coming up shortly. Probably going to hold off on doing that until after New Year's is done and everything else, but really, really, really looking forward to this. This is going to be awesome. And we're going to talk, too, about, sort of everything about this trip and kind of document. I told Paul, I said, like, any kind of planning that you do, I said, grab a screenshot, grab a video, whatever it is. If you're grabbing gear for it, I said, get it to me because I want to put some content together and make it all happen. And I kind of want to have some fun with this, Sean, and make it like, those episodes of Family Guy where like Brian and Stewie go to like the road to wherever, something like that. I kind of want to make it like that. That's kind of what I want to do.
So are you Brian or Stewie?
I thought about that. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I feel like it could be either or.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It really could be either or.
All right, fair enough.
It'll be interesting.
And I will also, just a little teaser, I'll also have a little bit of kayaking news on the personal level.
Truth.
If not next week, maybe a couple weeks down the road, we'll fit it in there. It's great news.
Yeah,
it's not on my front burner yet. Again, this winter is really going to be my devotion to coaching a couple of basketball teams is kind of sucking up a lot of time. So I have something in the works, and we'll see where it goes in a week or two.
I love it. I freaking love it.
Yeah, I love it too.
Well, if that's all we got, let's go ahead. We'll wrap this guy up. You guys go ahead and take good care. We got some really great interviews coming up along the horizon. Join us for them each and every week here on Jigs and Bigs. Remember, guys, we know that our listeners are the greatest that exist out there on the planet. We couldn't do this show without you guys, obviously, and we appreciate each and every one of you. If you could be so kind as to throw us a review if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, make sure to rate us on Spotify if you're listening there as well. Our ratings over on Spotify look fantastic. I wish that they had a review system so we could, give shout outs to folks that are reviewing us over there, but who knows? Maybe someday we'll get there. Who knows, right?
We have the technology.
We do. Yeah, the technology is there. Let's get on that shit. We have, like we said before, we've got our upcoming event at the end of January on the 28th. We're going to be up at the Cheshire Rod and Gun Club. Go ahead and join us up there if you're interested in getting some used gear, maybe getting yourself, that first crack before you start looking at anything retail. Maybe see what you can get on the cheap. This is going to be a great event. We're going to have a great time. Of course, we've got there's some stuff happening in February as well. That February is going to be amazing, and that includes the Springfield Sportsman Show. Buckle up because that's about to get real. It's going to be so awesome.
Yes, sir.
Very excited. Take good care of yourselves, guys. If you're out there catching any fish, remember to tag us in some pictures. Share how it's going down for you because we sure as hell aren't catching anything locally, or at least at the moment. So let us kind of live vicariously through you. Be sure to tag us, follow us on Instagram, guys. I got a feeling we're going to have a couple of good New Year's giveaways coming, too. That's kind of on the agenda. We got a bunch of stuff from Torridge to give away that we want to get out, so that'll be happening for you guys, as well as we're going to run some giveaways, too, when we do some of these appearances, some of this in-person stuff, so you're going to want to be around for that. Like we always say, guys, each and every week, have yourself a good one, and, of course...
Tits and ass, smoke some grass.